quick reactions, and unexpected growth. Mo Fan, your reflexes are incredible. Your spellcasting speed caught us completely off guard, Li Wenjie said as he walked up to Mo Fan, patting his shoulder. We thought you'd be like most rookie magicians, freezing up at the sight of a magical beast, right? I figured we'd be babysitting you for months before you could even pull your weight, Fei Shi added with a grin. But here you are, saving Guokaidang. Guokaidang, maybe you should devote your entire life to repaying him, huh? He let out a hearty laugh. Mo Fan couldn't help but smile awkwardly. When he had applied to join the City Hunter team, he had no practical experience and no record of facing magical beasts. The team's entry requirement was steep, a minimum of 10 confirmed kills. His application had been an exception solely because of his rare lightning element. Even then, the team had expected to spend months training him, assuming he'd struggle just to cast a basic spell under pressure. But today had changed everything. In the critical moment, Mo Fan's quick reaction and mastery over his star path had shocked everyone. His instantaneous casting of Lightning Strike had shattered their preconceptions, earning their respect, especially from Guokaidang, who had initially scorned him as a rookie liability. Now, her gratitude was evident, though her expression betrayed a mix of emotions. All right, Su Dahuang, the team leader, interrupted, bringing everyone's focus back. Li Wenjie, Fei Shi, check the cafeteria for any lingering magical beasts. If the area is clear, hand over the cleanup to the police. They'll handle the rest, including searching for the missing girl. Got it, Li Wenjie replied, already moving toward the building. As the others dispersed, Mo Fan lingered. His little loach pendant suddenly emitted a faint buzz, catching his attention. A soul remnant? Mo Fan's eyes lit up as he walked over to the corpse of the colossal-eyed ape rat. From the beast's lifeless body, a faint, bluish glow emerged, like a wisp of firelight. The ethereal fragment floated toward Mo Fan, drawn into the pendant around his neck. No one else noticed, busy as they were with their tasks. The little loach pendant had a unique ability. It could absorb soul remnants from fallen magical beasts. When Mo Fan had defeated the spirit wolf, the pendant had absorbed its soul remnant as well. Unfortunately, to truly enhance the pendant, he needed something purer, a soul essence. Still, each absorbed fragment brought him closer to unlocking its full potential. If I gather enough soul remnants, maybe I won't have to buy them from the Hunters Union, Mo Fan mused. A single soul remnant sold for about 10,000 yuan, but with enough fragments, the pendant might grow powerful enough to significantly boost his magic. As the pendant absorbed the fragment, Mo Fan felt a sudden jolt in his lightning stardust. The stars within it shimmered with an unusual energy, sending tingling waves through him. They're transforming, Mo Fan realized, his excitement mounting. It was the same feeling he'd experienced when his fire stardust had leveled up, enabling him to cast Fire Burst, Burning Bones. Could his lightning strike be on the verge of advancing to a second level? Was it the battle experience or the soul remnant? Mo Fan wondered. Either way, the possibility of leveling up his lightning magic thrilled him. If my fire burst is already devastating, what kind of havoc will an upgraded lightning strike wreak? A reward worth more than gold. To Mo Fan's surprise, the Hunter team awarded him a commission for completing his first mission. The school had paid the City Hunter team 200,000 yuan for their services, and Mo Fan received 10%, a staggering 20,000 yuan. For Mo Fan, this sum was life-changing. It equaled 6 months of his father's income, and it was the first time he'd earned money through his own efforts. Carefully tucking it away, he resolved to save it for a future need. Dangerous though the mission had been, the payout made it clear why so many magicians aspired to join elite teams like the City Hunters. It was far more lucrative than hunting magical beasts outside the city. At the Mu family manor. Meanwhile, at the luxurious Mu family manor, the private pool rippled gently under the sky-blue sunlight. Muhi emerged from the water, his swimming cap still on, and lounged on a recliner under the shade of an umbrella. His gaze wandered to the athletic swimming instructor nearby, lingering perhaps a bit too long. Suddenly, the serene surface of the pool began to freeze. Frost crept across the water, solidifying it into a sheet of ice. "Damn it!" Muhi exclaimed. "I was planning to swim again." Before he could protest further, the pool had turned into a solid block of ice. He turned to see a tall, gloomy youth standing nearby, the air around him chilling. "Uncle He, my father wants to see you," the young man, Yuang, said flatly. Muhi sighed, his irritation melting into a forced smile. "Yuang, your eyes stardust is growing stronger by the day. How's your training going?" "Slow," Yuang replied curtly. "Slow? You're already at ice spread. Condensed while others are still struggling with the first level," Muhi said, shaking his head. "At this rate, you'll reach ice spread cover in less than 2 years. That level of power can freeze entire groups of magicians. Even a small fire mage wouldn't stand a chance." 2 years is too long," Yuang muttered, his tone impatient. "You're always so hard on yourself," Muhi said. "But you should know, your father has high hopes for you. He's been keeping an eye on Mo Fan. Once you deal with him, your father has promised you a significant reward." "Mo Fan?" Yuang sneered. "He's just a clown. I haven't even bothered to think about him." Muhi chuckled but said nothing more, silently pleased with Yuang's ambition. Yuang's ambition. Yuang's relentless cultivation wasn't for the sake of anyone else. Not even his father, Mu Zhuiyun. Although Mu Zhuiyun had arranged a magic duel for him a year from now, Yuang barely gave it a thought. He was confident in his abilities and didn't view the duel as anything more than a trivial display. "Why don't you go ahead? I'll join you shortly," Muhi said, leaning back with a nonchalant wave. Yuang nodded and made his way toward the master's house. After walking through a meticulously designed artificial garden, he stepped into an unusual courtyard. In the midst of the European-style mansion, the antique tea house stood out like an anachronism. Its ancient design seemed out of place amidst the modern luxury of the estate. But it was here that Mu Zhuiyun awaited his son. "Father," Yuang said as he entered, his voice calm but tinged with curiosity. "I still don't understand why you've arranged such a dull duel for my coming-of-age ceremony. It seems unnecessary." Mu Zhuiyun took a slow sip of tea before answering. "A ceremony without intrigue or spectacle would indeed be dull, especially when it's meant to showcase the strength of the Mu family. The coming-of-age ceremony is more than just a celebration. It's an opportunity. Gathering the most influential figures in Bo City in one place is no easy feat. A duel, however, will ensure their attention is on you. It's not just about entertainment, it's about prestige. By demonstrating your superior strength before the city's elite, you'll gain respect, and that respect will pave the way for your future dominance in Bo City." Yuang frowned slightly. "Then why choose such an insignificant opponent for me? Surely you could have arranged for someone more worthy." "At first I thought the same," Mu Zhuiyun admitted. "I believe this Mo Fan would be nothing more than a formality for you, a minor distraction. However, it seems I underestimated him. In just a year, he's managed to master the second level of Fire Burst. His cultivation progress has surpassed all expectations. He's no longer a mere annoyance, but a symbol of defiance. Deng Kai, Zhang Kong, and Principal Zhu have all taken notice of him. If I were to move against him now, they wouldn't sit idly by. His rapid growth is unexpected, to say the least." Yuang's expression shifted. "So this duel is more than just a formality." "Indeed," Mu Zhuiyun said with a cold smile. "This boy's rise will make your victory all the more significant. By defeating him in front of Bo City's most influential people, you'll cement your position as the most outstanding young magician of your generation. It's an opportunity to demonstrate the Mu family's strength." Yuang leaned back, a small smirk forming on his lips. "Good. If he's strong, then defeating him will make my victory even more worthwhile. A weak opponent would have been an embarrassment." The coming-of-age ceremony was no ordinary celebration in the Mu family. It was a grand event, meant to display the strength of the younger generation. For the Mu family, the strength of their heirs directly reflected the family's dominance in Bo City. Mu Ningxue, the family's prodigy, was already making waves in the imperial capital. Bo City needed someone of equal caliber to uphold the family's reputation locally, and Yuang was being groomed to carry that banner. However, Yuang remained unaware of the full extent of his father's plans. While Muzhuyan nurtured him with resources and opportunities, Yuang was ultimately a tool, a stepping stone for the family's true heir, Mu Ningxue. Bo City was merely a small piece in Mu Zhuiyun's larger scheme. The underground holy spring. Don't worry, Mu Zhuiyun continued, setting his teacup down. After your coming-of-age ceremony, I will grant you access to the underground holy spring. A week's cultivation there will elevate your strength significantly, ensuring no peer in Bo City can match you. Yu Ang's eyes lit up at the mention of the underground holy spring. Father, is it really as miraculous as they say? More so, Mu Zhuiyun said confidently. Think of it as a stardust magic tool, but far more potent. The holy spring doesn't just ease fatigue. It accelerates cultivation at an unprecedented rate. It's the perfect environment for strengthening your control and deepening your connection to your stardust. This opportunity could very well push you toward the intermediate level. Yu Ang's excitement faltered for a moment. Intermediate? Isn't that still far beyond my reach? Mu Zhuiyun's lips curved into a knowing smile. Under normal circumstances, yes. But the Holy Spring is no ordinary resource. With its help, what would take years of diligent cultivation can be achieved in days. When you emerge, you'll be far ahead of your peers, and even many of your seniors. Yu Ang's curiosity grew. How did this holy spring come to be? How can it hold such power? Mu Zhuiyun waved the question away. Its origins are irrelevant. All you need to know is that it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. When you enter, focus entirely on your cultivation. This is your chance to surpass the limits of the primary level. Yuang nodded, determination hardening in his gaze. If the underground holy spring could truly elevate him to the intermediate level, he would leave his peers far behind. The bigger picture. As Yuang left the tea house, Mu Zhuiyun sat back, a satisfied expression on his face. The underground holy spring was a resource of immeasurable value, and granting access to it was no small gesture. Yet Mu Zhuiyun had his reasons. By nurturing Yuang into a dominant figure in Bo City, he ensured the Mu family's control over the city's affairs. But Yuang's ambition and strength were merely means to an end. For Mu Zhuiyun, the true successor to the family's legacy was his daughter, Mu Ningxue. While Yuang built his reputation in Bo City, Mu Ningxue was already carving her place on a far grander stage. Bo City was just the beginning. Mo Fan, Mu Zhuiyun thought, his expression darkening. You've exceeded expectations, but in the end, you're nothing more than a stepping stone. Your defiance will only serve to highlight the superiority of my family's heirs. The duel was no longer just a matter of ceremony. It was a stage for the Mu family to demonstrate their dominance, and for Mo Fan, a test of whether he could survive the ambitions of those far more powerful than him.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
In the remaining time of the summer break, Mo Fan kept on cultivating. The City Hunter team wasn't exactly a very busy job. Most of the time, he was just adjusting his life. After Mo Fan had finished 2 more bounty missions with the City Hunter team, he finally left the realm of a rookie. He was able to stay even more calm as he cast his spells when faced with a magical beast. Advancing his battle experience along with his cultivation, Mo Fan unexpectedly discovered that his stardust growth was even faster. As his stardust grew, naturally, the usable stars were also transforming. On the day he started his 3rd year of high school, Mo Fan had successfully transformed the lightning stars. They had turned increasingly bright, and the radiating stars were able to conduct increasingly stronger lightning magic. Thus, the used spells naturally changed as well. Next time when I go out on a mission with the City Hunter team, they will surely be surprised. Mo Fan was sitting in class. He felt particularly happy. Currently, his lightning strike and fire burst had both achieved the 2nd stage. This advancement speed had far exceeded his peers. If he was able to reach the 3rd stage by his graduation, then that would be even more perfect. It was said that when the stars had transformed into the 3rd stage, then one would be rather close to breaking through to intermediate level mage. Mo Fan had no idea on when he would reach the intermediate level. However, he would definitely exhaust all methods to make himself stronger. School life was still just like that. After going through the practicals, the student's temperament had a clear transformation. On top of that, the magic entrance exams were near, so those students who were usually slacking in particular were giving their best, as they frequently appeared on the training grounds. Mo Fan himself didn't go to the training grounds. What was the use of hitting a wooden puppet? He had directly changed these meaningless practices and exercises into real combat against magical beasts. That kind of progress was many times more effective than hitting the wooden puppets at the school training grounds. N/O/vel/B//N.C///om. Brother Fan, did you realize it? Ever since practicals, the arrogant class representative, Zhouman has been treating you really well, Zhang Xiaoho whispered into Mo Fan's ear. Really? Mo Fan asked as he raised his eyebrows. Of course, sometimes, she would even sneakily glance over here. Isn't it because I'm handsome? If you were to put it like that, then I can't do anything about it. However, if it was because you're handsome, then she wouldn't have been so harsh on you when the school began. She is harsh on every single person. However, when it comes to you, her entire person changes. She becomes like a next-door little sister, cute and obedient, Zhang Xiaoho stated. Presently, Mo Fan went to class in the morning and cultivated in the afternoon. At night, he has to wear a uniform to protect the peace of this city. How could he have time to care about a young girl's heart? Moreover, he already had a heroic spirit that would save thousands of girls from their sufferings, thus, occasionally obtaining a few girls' affections. Isn't that a common thing? CC. She's coming over here to find you. TSK, Brother Fan, I'll retreat first. Zhang Xiaoho was indeed a qualified friend. There are certain friends who are as stupid as pigs. They just love being a light mage one. Mo Fan raised his head and saw that Zhouman really was coming his way. Seeing her appearance, embarrassed yet excited, it truly made one feel pity for her. Zhouman looked quite elegant with squeaky clean black hair over her shoulders and a delicate face that carried the arrogance of many young girls. Normally, they naturally treated boys like devils, and so they kept their distance. However, the truth was, it was just impossible for them to conceal their warm hearts. Mo Fan, do you have time tonight? Zhouman whispered after she walked over. Tonight? He still had to consolidate the level 2 spell of Lightning Strike. Zhouman, as the class representative, you should be wholeheartedly focusing on your studies. How could you let your heart focus on the mundane things? We are third-year high schoolers who are about to become university students. This year is extremely important. It will affect the future. If you were to let your heart distract you this early, then it will bring nothing good for anyone. Therefore, Mo Fan nodded as he said, I'm available, to Zhouman. Zhouman immediately opened her eyes widely and said, Wait for me after school. I need to tell you something really important. No problem. Mo Fan nodded his head. He was thinking of whether he should have Zhang Xiaoho go and prepare a small umbrella, just in case he will need it. Point 2. After the school ended, a large crowd of students rushed toward the exit. Zhouman was indeed true to her words. She was waiting for Mo Fan at the back gate of the school. Mo Fan walked over, and as he was about to open his mouth, Zhouman mysteriously said, Mo Fan, I'm not sure if I should be telling you about this matter, but I also don't know anyone who is more suitable. As Mo Fan heard this, he suddenly had no idea what to expect. It's like this. My grandma's house is on the Rongshu Street. It is an old district that is going to be rebuilt into a new one. During the summer break, I went back to live with my grandmother, and then I frequently felt trembling sounds from the construction site next door. It seemed like there were construction workers doing their jobs. However, I asked some people, and they all said that they don't do construction work at night. My grandma always said that the large old district that is about to turn into ruins has something living there. I tried to have my grandmother move away, but she refused to leave the place. Therefore, I was hoping you would come with me and see what exactly is happening. Or else, I won't feel safe leaving my grandmother there alone. I'd feel scared at night, Zhouman said to Mo Fan sincerely. After hearing Zhouman's words, Mo Fan couldn't help but feel shocked. Construction site trembling? Sheet. Last time there was a cafeteria, And this time, there's a construction site trembling. This Bo City was getting toyed with too much. Don't tell me it's another colossalide ape rat? Mo Fan began to think. Colossalide ape rat? That's a magical beast. The Bo City shouldn't have those kind of things, right? Zhoumin blurted out in shock. Zhoumin still had lingering fears from facing the dread of a magical beast the last time. That's not a strange thing at all. The news from the Hunters Union states that during this period of time, the colossalide ape rat is acting as though they're entering the mating season. There are frequent cases of them popping out from dark corners. Mo Fan was already used to seeing strange things. If he was lingering around school, Mo Fan would be the same as Zhoumin, thinking that Bo City was 100% safe and that there would not be any magical beasts appearing. However, being in the City Hunter team, Mo Fan could count as having experience and knowledge. How do you say this? Little classmate, Zhoumin, you really found the right person. This brother's other identity is an officer of Bo City, and because we only clean the magical beasts within the Bo City, we are definitely more specialized. Sigh, I won't be able to receive commission this time. However, getting the girl's affection isn't exactly a bad thing either. Let's go and take a look. Arriving at the old district, it was just as Zhoumin had described. This part of the city had already been demolished. It looked as though it had just experienced a severe earthquake. Dust pervaded the demolished district, and there were temporary walls and holes all over the construction sites. A half-demolished house was just left there. It affected the appearance of the area as they erected another unfinished tower. I heard that the old Rongshu district are going to be rebuilt into a new commercial district. In the end, there was a severe shortage in the investment. Thus, they left behind a remnant of what it used to be in this part of the city, and even the government doesn't know how to deal with it. Most of the people had already moved from this district. There were wanderers and vagrants who decided to stay here temporarily due to difficulties. The remaining ones who stayed behind were the old people who refused to move away, like Zhoumin's old grandmother. To be honest, other than the emergence of Mo Fan's pure and manly heroic spirit, he was very puzzled over this trembling thing happening again. It already happened once in the Mingwen girls' middle's cafeteria. How come? Not long after, another trembling emerged in a different part of Bo City. Was it really another colossalide ape rat? It was reported that after eliminating the colossalide ape rat, the other areas around Mingwen Girls' Middle School also had slight trembles. The police hadn't found the reason behind it, and the school had ensured the campus safety, so school began as planned. My grandmother lives here, and the trembling area is over there. Zhoumin pointed at an old house, and then pointed toward a large construction site with old houses that had already been partially demolished. Due to being unpaid, the construction team had withdrawn from the site for a while now. The entire abolished district could be described as desolate and uninhabited. When night fell, the distant splendid city in lights was not able to illuminate this place. Black clouds shrouded the night sky. The great city officer Mo Fan was currently being quite daring. With a nimble leap, he crossed the temporary construction walls, and after he elegantly landed, he discovered Zhoumin walking in from the little gate to the side. The atmosphere immediately turned incredibly awkward. Cough, so what time does it usually start trembling? Mo Fan began to ask. During the evening, no specific time. Usually, Zhoumin would appear like a successful career woman. However, after coming to this abandoned construction site, she couldn't help but stand closer to Mo Fan. Mo Fan walked forward a few steps, and then took something like a fragrant bag from his pocket. He untied the fragrant bag. Inside it was sparkling and translucent dust. As Mo Fan blew the dust, it immediately scattered through the air, before it slowly sprinkled all over the construction site. This is beast-seeking dust. As expected of the honor student Zhoumin, she could tell what it was from a single glance. Yeah, Mo Fan nodded his head. Beast-seeking powder was a must for the city officers when hunting beasts on a dark and windy night. How come you brought this kind of thing along? Do you really think there's a magical beast here? Zhoumin asked, surprised. What student would normally bring this along with them? Moreover, this is Bo City. It's not like they're in the desolate countryside. Lady, you need to trust in experts. Just look yourself. Mo Fan pointed at the sparkling, translucent dust that was sprinkled on the floor. The dust he'd sprinkled had gathered about 10 meters away from the two, and the translucent dust particles looked as though they were glued to the floor, forming an outline there. This outline looked like a footprint. As Xiaomin saw this, she was completely dumbstruck. Heavens, Bo City really had magical beasts? The odor of a magical beast was normally really hard to catch a whiff of, especially the ones that had already left the scene. The specialty of the beast-seeking dust was that it was extremely sensitive to a magical beast odor. If a magical beast left behind a footprint 10 days ago, the beast-seeking dust would still be able to track it. Well, what do we do? Xiaomin was so scared that her face turned pale. Normally in school, she wouldn't question what the teacher said, and she would think the city is the safest place. Who would have thought that there really were footprints of magical beasts? The beast-seeking dust didn't lie. I'll take a look at the shape of the footprints. Mo Fan was brave, so he directly walked over. We should hurry and contact the City Hunter team. Xiaomin couldn't help but feel a chill. Mo Fan was completely speechless. I am a genuine officer from the City Hunter team. Contact them my ass. Besides, it's not like the City Hunter team has a lot of time. If there wasn't any concrete evidence, then they wouldn't dispatch the team. The footprint outline emerging from the beast-seeking dust could only count as a suspicion, and not ironclad evidence. After all, a summoning mage taking a stroll here was a possibility too. This footprint doesn't seem like it belongs to a colossal-eyed ape rat. Mo Fan creased his eyebrows. Mo Fan, we should leave. Xiaomin was a bit scared. Mo Fan, however, wanted to investigate this to the end, so he continued to walk toward the inside of the construction site. Xiaomin carefully followed Mo Fan. It seems like he is hiding in that unfinished mall. Mo Fan pointed down the road to the building in the front. This building looked like it was supposed to be a shopping center. The area of the floor was gigantic, and there were piles of cement bags, tools, and waste materials everywhere. The footprint shown from the beast-seeking dust ended at this unfinished shopping center. If there really was something living here, then it'd definitely be living here as it terrorized the people. This abandoned construction site had been here for 2 months, so it was the most perfect spot for hiding. Mo Fan. Xiaomin's voice suddenly turned incredibly stiff. She used an extremely strange way to warn Mo Fan. Mo Fan immediately looked towards the place Xiaomin was gazing at. Through the brick wall in the front, the place that was supposed to be the first floor had a wiggling black shadow. It was a creature with very sturdy lower limbs. Just standing there, its head was almost hitting the ceiling of the second floor. Its physique resembled that of a spirit wolf. The main difference was that it did not stand with 4 limbs. It stood with 2 legs like a werewolf. The biggest difference was this thing's head. The gigantic wolf-shaped head had 1 single eye. It looked particularly terrifying beneath the night sky. It's an one-eyed magic wolf. Xiaomin almost yelled out. A one-eyed magic wolf. This was a savage magical beast that was mentioned several times by their teachers in magical beast class. It was different from a creature like colossal-eyed ape rat that hid in the corner. The one-eyed magic wolf mostly dwelt in the mountains. It had an innate hostility against humans, and it really liked eating humans. It was greedy, savage, and enjoyed massacre. They covetously eyed the humans who tended to live away from the human centers of civilization. This kind of one-eyed magic wolf appeared so close to the city area. Even if there are people who care, they won't be able to anymore. After Mo Fan saw this scene, his heart also began to tremble. Not too long ago, he was the same as Xiaomin, someone who thought the city was extremely safe. Who would have thought that this would be the second magical beast he had encountered in Bo City? The colossal-eyed ape rat appearing in the city wouldn't be too strange. That kind of creature already lived amongst the human sewers and graveyards. However, how could one explain the savage, one-eyed magic wolf appearing in this kind of place? What is it doing? Xiaomin was so scared that her face had gone white. Eating midnight snacks, Mo Fan replied. Xiaomin carefully looked over before she almost fainted. n/o/vel/b/and.c//om. This one-eyed magic wolf was chewing. In the shadowy light, Xiaomin saw a chewed-off arm. Heavens, that was a human's arm. Mo Fan, that scoundrel. How could he playfully say that the monster was eating its midnight snack? It was eating people. It really was eating people. This place has many vagrants living here. They wouldn't be integrated into the population statistics recorded by the police. This one-eyed magic wolf is so sly. It hides in the abolished construction site and then uses those wanderers that no one takes notice of as food. If I hadn't found this, then who knows how many people would have become its rations, Mo Fan coldly snorted. Xiaomin was already scared to the point where she couldn't talk. Originally, she had come here with the attitude of finding the source of the problem, but she didn't expect to encounter a magical beast that ate people. Even if Bo City had nearly 1 million people, there were people dying every day. That, however, did not mean that the living people were being eaten by a magical beast that hid in a place like this. Dreadful. This whole thing was too dreadful. Speaking of which, Xiaomin, don't you feel like this one-eyed magic wolf is different from the ones our teacher has described? Mo Fan commented as he looked at the dreadful animal from afar. How could Xiaomin possibly have the mood to think about this question? At the moment, she was thinking about how to escape this construction site without being discovered, and then immediately notifying the Hunters Union of this scary information. Its physique is at least twice as big as the one our teacher described. This is not your common one-eyed magic wolf, Mo Fan continued. Xiaomin almost went crazy. Let's think of a way to escape this place. First, all right? How can Mo Fan's courage be at this level? Mo Fan himself very quickly realized that Xiaomin was only an arrogant girl in school. When faced with a horror scene such as this, she lost her intent to investigate. You can leave this place first and call the City Hunter Team's hotline. While you're at it, have the police move the residents and wanderers of this area away, Mo Fan said to Xiaomin. What about you? Xiaomin asked. I'll stay here and watch over it, Mo Fan replied. Xiaomin looked at Mo Fan with a gaze that seemed as though she had seen a monster. They were both third-year high school students, but why doesn't this guy have any reaction after seeing this scene? Normal people would be so scared that they'd pee their pants. After carefully thinking about it, Xiaomin suddenly realized that this abnormal Mo Fan had killed a spirit wolf once before. It seems like magical beasts don't bring out too much fear in him. A freak, he's a freak. I already notified them, Xiaomin whispered, somewhat proud of herself for taking the initiative. Mo Fan was confused as he asked without thinking it over. How did you notify? Oh, sheet. Within a heartbeat, Mo Fan realized the trouble he was in. HNNG. Inside the not-so-distant building, the one-eyed magic wolf who was busy having its meal slowly turned its head around. The lantern-like I locked onto the location Xiaomin and Mo Fan were at. In a split second, the atmosphere froze. Despite hiding beneath a brick wall, Mo Fan and Xiaomin could still feel the shivering killing intent released from the savage one-eyed magic wolf. An evening wind came through, carrying a dense smell of blood as it blew right into the faces of Mo Fan and Xiaomin. Xiaomin was completely dumbstruck. She never thought that the one-eyed magic wolf would suddenly discover their whereabouts. As her gaze met that single eye, it was as though her entire being was dropped into a dreadful abyss. Her body was unable to move. Did your mom not teach you that magical beasts have the ability to sense mobile signals? Mo Fan grabbed Xiaomin, and with lightning speed, he dashed toward the outside of the construction site. The creatures in this world had one thing that was out of the norm, which was their ability to sense the signals of magical equipment. So even if you were to send a help text to the City Hunter team with your phone sounds off, it'd be no different than sending your phone GPS location to the magical beast's brain, exposing you instantly. Growling. The one-eyed magic wolf also realized that its whereabouts were exposed. It readied its body like a bow, and then it became like a coyote who found food as it flew toward Mo Fan and Xiaomin, its speed extremely frightening. Fortunately, Mo Fan and Xiaomin were a good distance away from this thing, or else the two of them would have instantly turned into the one-eyed magic wolf's midnight snack. Mo Fan ran extremely fast. He was running as he was connecting his star path. This technique was something he had learned from the few times he had responded to a call with the City Hunter team. If a magician stood in his original spot connecting his star path like a retard, the magical beast could just wantonly throw something at your forehead, and you would lose your life on the spot. Fire burst, burning bones? With one hand, he held Jomin's wrist as he ran. On the other hand, he coagulated a boiling fireball. As he jumped over the piles of cement bags in front of him, the fireball in his hands was simultaneously thrown toward the one-eyed magic wolf that was charging them. The swirling speed of the fire burst, burning bones was extremely fast. In an instant, it ignited the pile of scrap wood. Due to the high temperature, the one-eyed magic wolf didn't dare to charge through it. Mo Fan's fire burst naturally wasn't thrown at the one-eyed magic wolf. The nimbleness of one-eyed magic wolf was at the same level as the colossal-eyed ape rat. Its sturdy forelimbs allowed it to vigorously jump over the ruins, while Mo Fan's skill with his spells hadn't reached a level where he would be able to accurately hit the one-eyed magic wolf. The objective of the Burning Bones flames was simple: to form a firewall to cut off the one-eyed magic wolf's attack route. Grr! However, the one-eyed magic wolf's agility had far exceeded Mo Fan's imagination. The one-eyed magic wolf's back legs ferociously stomped the ground, and it suddenly jumped up. It had actually directly jumped over the raging Burning Bones flames. Boom! The one-eyed magic wolf landed heavily, raising a cloud of dust. Its eye once again locked onto the escaping Mo Fan and Jomin. The one-eyed magic wolf's back legs stamped ferociously, its body lowered, and then became like a charging bullet as it charged after them. The construction wood, sand piles, and handcarts in the way were all sent flying to the sides. Mo Fan turned his head around and was unable to stop himself from cursing. This one-eyed magic wolf really was abnormal. Let's not even talk about its speed. Its body was actually so sturdy. If he were to get hit by the one-eyed magic wolf like this, then Mo Fan would lose his life. It was probably much stronger than any of the other magical beasts that he had encountered before. Fortunately, Jomin and I were a bit far from it before. We'll be exiting the construction site soon. We should be safer once we're outside. Boom, boom, boom. The temporary outer walls of the construction site were like foam, directly smashed into pieces by one-eyed magic wolf's body. When Mo Fan and Jomin, who had just made it to the old residence area, turned their heads around and realized that the one-eyed magic wolf was still chasing them, their entire beings turned completely dumbstruck. Freaking one-eyed magic wolf. This daddy has already entered his pagoda, yet you still want to be that noisy? Before, Mo Fan had thought that this one-eyed magic wolf had some intelligence, because it was hiding in a construction site no one was at while it ate vagrants. Thus, he deduced that the one-eyed magic wolf would not chase them all the way to the old residence street. If it was discovered by people, it would become the objective of a manhunt. Who would have thought that the one-eyed magic wolf was actually that stupid? It directly chased them out of the construction site. n/o/vel/b//gen.c//om. Brother Wolf, attacking in the broad daylight would not give you anyone to eat, so you can go and head home. Although it is currently evening and the old residence street doesn't have many people around, there will still be someone who will see this and report this. Isn't it better if we all were to just come and leave in peace today, split up after we've crossed this corner, and none of us will turn their head around? Sheet, you're still chasing? If you're still chasing, then don't blame me for being impolite. Mo Fan, what do we do? I can't run anymore. Jomin was still ghost white pale from fright as she hid behind Mo Fan. It was the dead of the night on this old residential street. Due to the abandoned construction site, there weren't many people living here to begin with. At this moment, the one-eyed magic wolf had dashed out of the construction site as it followed the slightly muddy street. From the shadows of the old banyan tree, you could only see another shadow engulfing everything as it passed by. Hurry up and escape with your grandmother. I'll try to delay this thing, Mo Fan said to Jomin. No matter how fast they ran, they still couldn't run away from a violent, four-limbed, one-eyed magic wolf. At this time, Mo Fan was once again reminded of how important it was to have a movement spell. How are you going to delay? Jomin asked as her voice trembled. Don't bullshit so much. Mo Fan excoriated her. Although Zhou was also a fire mage, her fire burst. Scorch was completely useless against this kind of large one-eyed magic wolf. The signal device had pointed out that his hunter team members were in the vicinity, so Mo Fan should be able to hold up until reinforcements came. Zhou finally stopped wasting time as she hurriedly ran toward one of the houses on the street. However, Mo Fan underestimated this stupid girl's kindness. Not only did she notify her grandmother, she also wanted to notify the older people who also lived on the street. As Mo Fan realized that there were quite a few old people who still lived on the old residential street, his forehead creased. If they hadn't seen through this thing today, then it's possible that these old people would have turned into the one-eyed magic wolf's food. It's here! Finally, the one-eyed magic wolf caught up and was roughly 20 meters away from Mo Fan. The one-eyed magic wolf probably didn't even need a second to cover the 20 meters. Not to mention, these magical beasts were way scarier than what the school described them. The pressure given off by the one-eyed magic wolf as it dashed over was about the same as a car. A normal person would just stand there completely dumbstruck. I told you to not chase, yet you still had a freaking chase. Do you think that I'm going to drop some rare loot after I die? Mo Fan couldn't help but curse as he stared at the one-eyed magic wolf that was dashing over. Cursing was one thing, but Mo Fan had no intention of standing there waiting to get killed. His intent was locked onto the scythe imprint within his spiritual world. In an instant, a mystical glow from the spirit blossomed from his body. In the front of Mo Fan, the mystical glow was quickly drawing a three-dimensional, rhombus-formed shield that was a bit taller than a human. When the mystical light was at its brightest, the radiance in the front of Mo Fan turned into a dark green bone shield with clear corners. N/O/vel/B//jan.C//om. Magical equipment, Bone Scythe Shield. The Bone Scythe Shield was floating in front of Mo Fan's head as it was enveloped in the mystical light. It was extremely fast. The colossal one-eyed magic wolf wasn't aware of the appearance of the Bone Scythe Shield, and in its haste to crush Mo Fan into mincemeat was unable to stop in time. Bang! Because the one-eyed magic wolf was leaning forward, it hit the Bone Scythe Shield head-on. The Bone Scythe Shield emitted a fierce, trembling sound. The one-eyed magic wolf who had rammed into the Bone Scythe Shield with colossal force flew back 10 or so meters and caused Mo Fan, taking cover behind the shield, to be blown away as well. After the Bone Scythe Shield had warded off the vicious attack of the one-eyed magic wolf, it immediately turned into fragments of lights as it disappeared into thin air. Mo Fan slid along the cement like he was on a skateboard as he was forced back. His stomach felt awful. Mo Fan fought down the urge to puke. Even though the Bone Scythe Shield had warded off the one-eyed magic wolf's strongest attack, Mo Fan still felt like his stomach had been hit by something. What a strong animal! Mo Fan was secretly astonished. The quality of the Bone Scythe Shield could be called pretty good equipment, as being able to block the full strength of a magical beast and emerge safe demonstrated. However, when the one-eyed magic wolf had charged over, it had still caused some damage to Mo Fan. From that, he could tell that if this power had directly hit his body, it would definitely cause his bones to shatter. The one-eyed magic wolf was lying on the street. Its head was bleeding. It shook its head as it slowly climbed up in a daze, and then held the area it had hurt with its paw like a human would. It can even stand up from that. Is its body made out of iron? As Mo Fan saw that this one-eyed magic wolf hadn't lost its ability to move, his jaw nearly dropped to the ground. Was it that the magical beast he had encountered before was too weak, or this one-eyed magical wolf was just particularly strong? If it was the spirit wolf, or that colossal-eyed ape rat who had charged over like that, then their bones would have fallen apart. Run! Hurry and run! Taking advantage of this thing still being dazed, he began to run away without stopping. Just running wouldn't work, it would quickly catch up. Thus, he'll just give it a lightning strike, so it will lose its ability to move for a bit. At this kind of time, Mo Fan no longer dared to hide his strength. If Zhou saw his lightning element, then she saw it. Convincing her to not tell anyone wouldn't be too hard. As he took a deep breath, he eased the pain in his stomach. Mo Fan had already begun to prepare for control of his lightning star path. Ice spread condense. As Mo Fan had just began taking control of 2 lightning stars, a girl's shout came from afar. A cold air quickly covered this old resident street. Frost fell down from the ominous sky. This frost was formed by command. It quickly gathered on the foot of the one-eyed magic wolf, and the surroundings of the one-eyed magic wolf condensed into an ice block. The ice was able to spread. It grew up the one-eyed magic wolf's strong legs, and in just a few seconds of time, the one-eyed magic wolf's 4 limbs were covered in ice. If the one-eyed magic wolf were in perfect condition, then the ice spread most likely wouldn't be able to stop him. However, the one-eyed magic wolf was currently in a dazed condition. By the time it was clear-headed, its lower limbs would already be frozen. If it were still able to take a step, then freezing it would be extremely difficult. Mo Fan felt a joy as he turned around, seeing a cold-faced girl wearing dark purple jeans with long legs standing at the end of the street. The white ice star path was still on the side of her body, emitting a radiance, causing the ice mega to look even more beautiful. Kaidang. Mo Fan was overjoyed. She didn't forget that he had saved her life once before with lightning strike, and with her timely move this time, he was able to maintain the secret of the lightning element. Little bastard, how come you are here? Wakaidang was suspicious as she looked at Mo Fan. This thing Mo Fan, how could Wakaidang not recognize him? With a group of little kids, they peeked at her taking a bath. How could Wakaidang ever forget about that matter? It made her hate Mo Fan to the bone. If she knew it was him who had attracted an one-eyed magic wolf, then Wakaidang definitely would have hesitated when she took action earlier. In theory, a pervert and a magical beast should both be the same. In the name of the moon, I will eliminate you. My girlfriend and I were having a date here. You came just in time. Mo Fan immediately retreated to a safe distance as he reunited with Zhou Min and her grandma. Hurry and get lost. Our hunter team is already in the vicinity, Wakaidang said with a rude tone. Great. It's the beast hunter team, Zhou Min said as though she obtained another life. Mo Fan no longer said anything. He took advantage of the one-eyed magic wolf being frozen to immediately escape from the place. Right after they escaped this street, he immediately heard Wakaidang use her Bluetooth-style earphones to communicate with her other teammates, saying, Have you guys notified Fan Mo? This is an one-eyed magic wolf at the advanced stage. If I'm not wrong, then this should be the thing that sneakily absorbed the underground holy spring along with the colossal-eyed ape rat. Dealing with the colossal-eyed ape rat isn't much of a problem, but this one-eyed magic wolf that has reaped a great benefit is much stronger than your average magical beast. Without lightning mages, it'd be very hard for us to subdue it. So it's that kind of reckless animal. My father put out a bounty for it for a while ago now. Today it will be seized by us. Standing beside Wakaidang was a tall, skinny, and gloomy-looking man. Since I'm here, then I, Yuong, will help the hunter's team eliminate this animal. We shouldn't approach it. Let's use the ice spread to suppress it from afar first. It seems like it hit something a while ago and hasn't regained its senses yet. Otherwise, our ice spreads most likely wouldn't be able to obstruct it. Let's just wait for our teammates to arrive, especially the lightning mage. Against this kind of power-type magical beast, lightning is the best choice to use, Wakaidang said sincerely. Oh, all right. I'll go with what you say. Yuong nodded his head. He also began to link his ice star path as he stood away, before he continued to freeze the wolf. As it seemed quite easy, Yuong turned his head around to glance at Mo Fan, who was escaping with his female classmate. Who's that guy you called Little Brat? Do you know him? It's Mo Fan. It's the uncontrollable guy who cursed Uncle Mu Zhuiyun. Wakaidang clenched her teeth. So that's Mo Fan, Yuong couldn't help as a smile of contempt emerged on his face. I thought this guy was supposed to be pretty amazing, but it turns out when he is facing a magical beast, he becomes a scared dog. That's comical. It seems like the rumor of him killing a spirit wolf before really was just the luck of a dog. I bet it wasn't even him who killed it. The people in the stronghold really enjoy babbling nonsense. Does this kind of a dreg really have the qualifications to appear in my coming-of-age ceremony? Sigh. Let's not think too much about that unimportant character. I have to think about how to deal with this one-eyed magical beast that is at the advanced stage. Mo Fan, why are you going back? Zhoumin led her grandmother toward a street with more people. I dropped my phone there. Mo Fan didn't care too much about Zhoumin's question as he hurriedly ran back the way they'd come. As Mo Fan was running, Mo Fan pulled out a fashionable hoodie from his flat backpack. At the same time, he used crayons to paint his face black, and to be on the safe side, he wore a face mask. Damn, Captain America can just rip off his clothes to instantly become the city rescuing hero, whereas my transformation is just too behind the modern times. Ed note, remember Mo Fan is from another world. Highly doubtful either Cap America or Bluetooth is known here. In fact, Mo Fan was just changing from fire element to lightning element. Fortunately, he didn't forget that he had a secret identity of being a city officer while he was in school, which was why he always brought his tools along. After acting like a brave male student, he ought to become the emissary of the city. He just didn't know whether it was just amazing or if he was just a clown. Speaking of which, the person standing next to Guakaidang should be the adoptive son of Mu Zhuiyun. Yuan looked like a shemale predator boy. One glance and you know that he's not a good person. And one-eyed magic wolf who sneakily absorbed the underground holy spring? Just what is the underground holy spring? How did it turn a normal one-eyed magic wolf into something this dreadful? Mo Fan was already different from when he was at the practical. If it were a spirit wolf in front of him right now, then he could actually deal with one or two. However, this one-eyed magic wolf was clearly much stronger than the spirit wolf. Lately, there has been vibrations everywhere, as well as an increase in colossal-eyed ape rats that have gone crazy. Is it possible that it had something to do with the underground holy spring? Forget it, let's not think too much about that for now. I need to hurry back and defend the peace of the earth. It is said that a variation beast tends to drop good things. n/o/vel/b/and.c//om. By the time Mo Fan returned to the old Banyan Street, the other Hunter team members had already arrived. They could be said as tending to their jobs 24/7. As long as there was a situation, then they would be the first to arrive, much faster than police. Brother Fan Mo, you got here quite fast. When Fasher saw Mo Fan arriving, he immediately busted out a smile. Don't be distracted. This advanced one-eyed magic wolf can take our lives in just a second, Captain Su Dahuang said solemnly. Fortunately, we have an extra helper today. With 2 ice mages present, we will be able to substantially restrict the one-eyed magic wolf's movements, Li Wenjie said. Guakaidang and Yuan were both outstanding disciples of a great ice family. With their ice spreads conjoined, they had already frozen 10 meters around the one-eyed magic wolf's legs. Although the one-eyed magic wolf hadn't been completely frozen over, its movements were still much slower. Ice spread had a permeating ability. The longer it was within the area of the ice spread, the stiffer its bones and muscles would become. Against an one-eyed magic wolf who completely relies on brute force to battle, this tactic was extremely suitable. However, a small problem still remained. Ice and fire elements had some conflicts with one another. The primary attack capability of the Hunter's team was on Su Dahuang. However, Su Dahuang's fire burst rupture could very possibly shatter the ice spread from Guakaidang and Yuan. Thus, other than restricting the one-eyed magic wolf for right now, there were no other good ideas at the moment. I have already called for reinforcements. Yang Zhuohe from the Mage Association is currently on the way here. We'll need to maintain the restraints while he is on the way. Don't make a vain attempt to kill this one-eyed magic wolf. Su Dahuang said this with an experienced air. Fire burst. Rupture definitely was capable of severely injuring this one-eyed magic wolf. However, that wasn't much of a warranty. In case the one-eyed magic wolf still was capable of combat, restricting its movement at that time would be much more difficult. Above all, they definitely could not let it flee to a residential area with people still living there. Yang Zhuohe, the intermediate-level mage? Xiao Ke's eyes began to beam, her face filled with admiration. With him here, we can safely kill this one-eyed magic wolf. If we were to let it escape, then it would bring countless casualties among the civilians, Su Dahuang answered. That is indeed the case, but we don't know how long our ice spread can last. This one-eyed magic wolf's force is too strong. If we were to advance our ice spread to level 3, it would definitely not be able to escape from us, Guakaidang told him. Don't worry, there's still us here. Fei sure, and Li Wenjie spoke up. Are we going to do something? Mo Fan asked as he looked at the people who had drafted a plan. You stay on the side and tend to other lives. Your level 1 lightning strike won't necessarily be able to injure it. However, the paralysis effect should be able to have a significant impact. If this one-eyed magic wolf struggles and the ice spread shows signs. Something is wrong. Why is this guy's aura becoming stronger and stronger? Su Dahuang's expression changed. There was a cold air from the magic pervading the old Banyan Street area. Without any visible cause, a great amount of ferocious aura suddenly converged around the wolf, before turning into a violent storm that blasted through the whole street. Whoosh! The old banyan tree's branches were waving wildly. The dead leaves and branches fell to the ground. n/o/vel/b/jan.c//om. Yuan, quick, use one more layer of ice spread. Guakaidang immediately realized something as she urgently ordered Yuan. I can't, the aura is too strong. It's leaving me unable to breathe, Yuan replied weakly. Mo Fan also felt the mad beast aura that smashed onto his face like a sea wave, followed by the one-eyed magic wolf raising its head to howl at the sky. This ferocious aura continued to splash out like a great wave, causing all the residences on the old street to start trembling. Advancement. This guy has been pressured by us so much that it's forcing its own advancement. After absorbing the energy from underground Holy Spring, it already possessed the potential to advance. We must stop it. If we let it succeed at its advancement, then even if Yang Zhuohe gets here, he won't necessarily be able to subdue it. Su Dahuang's face turned extremely ugly. After being in the City Hunter team for so long, it was also Su Dahuang's first time encountering a magical beast at the advanced stage. An advanced stage magical beast wasn't scary at all. The scariest part is a magical beast that has successfully evolved. That was not something these primary magicians were capable of withstanding. Moreover, once it starts to wantonly massacre everything, the people of this area of the city would suffer a devastating attack. This isn't good. We are unable to stop it. Let's use the time before it successfully advances to escape from this place, Li Wenjie said with his face completely pale. The speed of a magical beast that had successfully advanced was not something Li Wenjie was capable of dealing with. The people here would all die. It wouldn't even take 10 seconds for a one-eyed magic wolf who had succeeded at its evolution to kill every single person here. What the hell are you saying? Turn yourself around and see what's behind your back, Su Dahuang said angrily. This area was abandoned because of the existence of construction sites, and the Banyan Street was also at a semi-demolished state. However, after passing through the old Banyan Street, there was a business district with flashing neon lights. Sitting in that place were families of old and young who were watching movies. There were girls who were preparing the presents for Qixi Festival. There were also old couples who were leisurely taking a walk. Resident towers, shops, entertainment centers, plazas. Do you think these people are capable of protecting themselves? It's safe to say that if we were to turn around and leave, then the one-eyed magic wolf who has completed its advancement will definitely be in need of a large quantity of food. These people are the food. This city did have magicians who were stronger than their hunter team. However, intermediate-level magicians wouldn't be maintaining a stage of alert at all times. Even if they were to come here at the fastest speed possible to eliminate the one-eyed magic wolf, it definitely did not mean that they would be able to prevent the massacre caused by it within that period of time. Just how many humans' lives would be lost is something Su Dahuang did not dare calculate. Although that little scoundrel is extremely annoying, he still has done something incredible today. We were able to discover this one-eyed magic wolf that was about to evolve in time, that can be considered as preventing an increasingly large massacre. However, we don't have to say such disheartening thing. It still hasn't successfully evolved, thus, we are still able to obstruct it. Guakaidang smiled coldly. Su Dahuang has already decided to not run. To be honest, the spirit of the captain of the City Hunter team caused Mo Fan to feel some admiration toward him. Feisher, prepare Earth Wave to slow it down. If it breaks away from the ice spread, we definitely cannot let it run, Su Dahuang ordered. Feisher nodded. His palms suddenly smacked onto the cement road. In a split second, the surface of the ground suddenly turned into what looked like ripples on a lake. These ripples were moving toward a single direction, forcing the frozen, one-eyed magic wolf away toward a location more distant from everyone. However, the ice spread's effects couldn't be sustained for much longer. A churning heat from the wolf's body began to force the surrounding frost to melt into water and cause that water to start boiling. This guy really is evolving. Its body and blood vessels are boiling, Feisher said with an uneasy expression. Li Wenjie clenched his teeth. He didn't know what to do. To be honest, once this one-eyed magic wolf successfully evolved, none of the people here would be able to survive. No one would be able to stop this monster from entering the flourishing business district. Remaining here would be awaiting his own death. Furthermore, the signs of this one-eyed magic wolf's advancement were already very evident. Why were they still remaining, awaiting death? It is about to break through, Li Wenjie said, cold sweat dripping off her. Crap. Now it was too late to escape. Su Dahuang, Shaka, Feisher, Guakaidang, none of them had the intention to leave. Mo Fan at this moment was gazing at this one-eyed magic wolf. He could clearly see the one-eyed magic wolf's muscles had turned slightly transparent. The veins within the muscles could actually be seen. They were boiling at a high temperature. The blood was quickly flowing through the one-eyed magic wolf's body. The one-eyed magic wolf's bones were cracking, and bones actually grew directly from the shoulder muscles, becoming a sharp shoulder edge. Its backbone, that was already at the size of a giant, was also currently growing. It pierced through the muscles of its back. Bones that still had wisps of blood glued to them had turned into a thorny ridge on its back. Beneath the cold moonlight, it appeared increasingly dreadful. Fireburst rupture. Su Dahuang was finally unable to resist. A fireball was condensed within his hand. It carried some resentment as he threw it toward this monster. Boom! Raging flames loudly exploded in front of the one-eyed magic wolf. The fierce tongue of fire immediately engulfed the one-eyed magic wolf. The scarlet blaze was shrouding the entire street in choking smoke. A heat wave immediately poured over the old street, and the old banyan trees combusted beneath the fierce flames. Furthermore, it began to spread toward the older buildings. The residents of these old buildings had already escaped without a trace. After the explosion, the two buildings to the sides had turned into a mess. It was a ferocious blast, and presumably, it would be able to cause injuries to the one-eyed magic wolf. When the intensity of the fire had dissipated, a figure with its body completely draped in flames suddenly flew out from the place that had exploded. As it flew out, it knocked aside everything that was in its way. "Captain, be careful!" Feisher yelled out. Su Dahuang was completely frozen with shock. After suffering from his fireburst rupture, this one-eyed magic wolf had actually emerged safely. Earthwave. Feisher risked his life to use the spell. He controlled the surface of the ground and wanted to use the rippling ground to drag the running one-eyed magic wolf backwards. Who would have thought that the one-eyed magic wolf's speed was too quick? The rippling ground was of no use. The burning one-eyed magic wolf suddenly jumped, showing its unharmed belly. The claw it had poised to strike turned into a streak of cold light as it cut towards the motionless Su Dahuang. Water barrier. Protect. Xiaoko was still able to complete her star path during the calamity. Countless strands of water quickly forming a liquid armor as the claw landed on Captain Su Dahuang's body. The powerful claw ferociously ripped across this water armor. A spray of blood spurted out. A long wound emerged on the body of Captain Su Dahuang, looking as though his chest had been completely ripped open. Xiaoko was already completely stunned. She definitely used her water spell to protect Captain Su Dahuang. How come the one-eyed magic wolf was still able to tear apart Captain's stomach? Captain. Guo Saitong's entire being was completely dumbstruck. An one-eyed magic wolf who could completely render fire burst, rupture useless, and ignore water barrier. Protect. Was that really a magical beast that they faced off against every day? Xiaoke, hurry up and run. Feisher yelled toward Xiaoke. After Xiaoke regained her senses, it seemed as though she was soaked in cold water. She could feel the endless ferocity from the one-eyed magic wolf's pupil. Its next objective was her lightning strike, fierce whip. As everyone sank into a panic state, traces of purple lightning covered Mo Fan's head. He raised his hand up before suddenly gripping it. N/O/vel/B//in.C//om. In a split second, all of the traces of lightning turned into a long lightning python. The lightning python frantically whipped onto the incomparably malevolent body of the one-eyed magic wolf, lacerating its flesh. Every time the lightning whip swatted down, an electric arc would follow up and drill itself into the savage one-eyed magic wolf, entering its flesh and bones. It was different from the primary lightning strike, python scars. Once you hit them with the whip-like lightning traces, it would leave behind lightning prints. These prints would then conduct electricity to each other, sustaining the electric shock to the target organism. The one-eyed magic wolf was in so much pain that it began to howl. The one-eyed magic wolf's strong, substantial flesh and its steel-like body was able to endure the formidable destructive force of the fire burst. Rupture and the lightning strike's frantic whip could only cause superficial wounds. However, its flesh was definitely unable to resist the paralysis caused by the electric shock and the electric arc that was incessantly bouncing around within its body. Lightning, the one-eyed magic wolf, mostly relies on the strength of its body and is weak against lightning magic. Guokaidang was suddenly shocked awake. This is the second level of lightning strike. Feisher was also somewhat stunned. During the time where these hunter team members were unable to do anything, who would have thought that the newest member of the hunter team, who joined not too long ago, would actually stand out? The most important thing was this kid had actually cultivated his lightning strike to the second level when no one was aware of it. The one-eyed magic wolf was already at the stage where its muscles, blood vessels, and bones were transforming. During this kind of transformation, the one-eyed magic wolf would directly possess the dreadful combat prowess of a successful evolution. At this time, there was nothing that could be more perfect than a lightning mage that was capable of detonating explosives within the creature's flesh. Even if it was the second-level lightning strike, the strongest of the basic elements would only be able to vividly display its dominance in this kind of situation. Adding to the lightning element's powerful restraining abilities, it even caused the one-eyed magic wolf to actually stagger and feel weak across its entire body. On the other side was Mo Fan, who was standing at a distance, letting loose a long breath. Fortunately, the second level of lightning strike was indeed very effective, or else the consequences would be catastrophic. Continue. Fan Mo, continue. Your lightning strike is causing its flesh and bones to stop growing. As long as we are able to stop its evolution, we will still have a chance. Guokaidang urgently shouted. Mo Fan nodded. He connected his star path, and the purple traces of lightning once again emerged on top of Mo Fan's head. Even if he was still a bit unfamiliar with using the second level of lightning strike, Mo Fan couldn't afford to have even a slightest bit of error when faced with a life and death situation. The lightning whip once more viciously lashed onto the one-eyed magic wolf, whose body appeared to be a little deformed. The whip this time not only had the ability to restrict the one-eyed magic wolf, it actually caused its body to deflate. Additionally, the growth of one-eyed magic wolf's bones had shown signs of retracting. Good job, Fan Mo. We suppressed it, hid it until it returns to its original form. Everyone was unable to contain their excitement. For them, Mo Fan's lightning strike had essentially saved the lives of all of them. The paralysis effect of the lightning strike isn't sustainable. After the one-eyed magic wolf's flesh and bones have adapted to the electric shocks, it will be able to expand once more. Guokaidang reminded everyone. Mo Fan himself was extremely clear on the fact that the lightning strike's paralysis effect wasn't sustainable. No matter what, he still had delayed it for a bit of time. Mo Fan felt like he had done his best, at least enough to allow Li Wenjie to pull Su Dahuang into a safe area. Whether Captain Su Dahuang was alive or dead was hard to say. Oh well, the wolf held out. It had finally adapted to the paralysis of the lightning strike. This monster that was brimming with power from its body once again released the aura of a wild beast. Crap, it is transforming again. The color on everyone's face changed once more. This meant that they would need to worry about their lives again. After seeing this scene, Mo Fan knew that he himself really was powerless. Currently, all he could do was to retreat. His lightning strike had given those innocent residents a bit more time, and could also be seen as having saved a few people. You evil creature, you still haven't accepted your death. An incomparably solemn shout suddenly resounded through the sky above the old street. Before he had even seen the person, Mo Fan could feel an enormous elemental force gathering in midair. Countless drops of misty fog were faintly falling onto his cheeks. Whoosh! Mo Fan raised his head, and was shocked to see that there was an incredibly large wave emerging in midair. A turbulent wave in the air? Mo Fan had a hard time believing his own eyes. Yet this surging wave really was passing through the old houses. Immediately after, it became like a dam bursting as it attacked the body of the one-eyed magic wolf. Violent wave, banishment. Following this divine magic chant, the surging tide directly smashed onto the one-eyed magic beast. Furthermore, it turned into a flood as instantly flooded the entire street. All of the banyan trees had practically been broken through. The walls of the old houses also collapsed. The originally violent one-eyed magic wolf had no margin to struggle beneath the violent wave's flood. It was flushed from the middle to the far end of the street. Intermediate level water magic. After Xiaoka saw at this scene, her face turned incredibly red in excitement. Violent wave. This was precisely the intermediate spell of water element. Seeing the flood waves rapidly flushing across the street, Xiaoka, who was also a water magician, was so excited that she almost fainted. Intermediate level. It was something that people yearned for even in their dreams. For a little magician like her, no one would know how long it would take to reach that level. The trembling, violent wave was incessantly surging forwards, but it didn't reach where other people were. What everyone could see was this violent wave that resembled a ferocious dragon as it toppled over the one-eyed magic wolf. Along with the fact, it almost destroyed the entire street. Mo Fan was also attentively looking at this scene. At the same time, his heart was also surging. Intermediate mage, so this is an intermediate mage. Formidable. Sorry I'm late. Is Su Dahuang all right? A middle-aged man with a dark blue shirt was standing on top of an old building, and beneath his feet was a gradually fading star map. It looked dazzling. It was very clear that this person was Yang Zhuohe and should be the closest intermediate rank magician to this place. Fortunately, Su Dahuang and Guo Kaidang had notified him in time. Yang Zhuohe still had some lingering fears as he looked toward the renovating buildings and the flourishing commercial streets. From his position, he could see these people who were still shopping, completely unaware of the danger they were in. If the one-eyed magic wolf successfully evolved and crossed over those buildings, then no one knew what kind of living hell this commercial district would become. Yang Zhuohe, who had been with the Magic Association of Bo City for so many years, had seen all kinds of magicians. Su Dahuang's hunter team knew this one-eyed magic wolf was at the stage of evolving, yet they stood their ground and did their best to stop it. This bravery really caused one to feel a great admiration. His skin was ripped, his internal organs are fine. He's still alive. Thank the heavens and earth for that. Li Wenjie helped Su Dahuang cover his chest that was coated with blood. To be honest, Li Wenjie didn't quite understand Captain's kind of attitude. Could it be that his life as a magician was less important than those people? I have contacted a healing mage, and they're on their way here. Think of a way to stop Su Dahuang's bleeding. I'll take this animal's life, Yang Zhuohe said. After saying this, Yang Zhuohe's figure suddenly flashed. Mo Fan could only see him leaving behind a cyan-colored star path before he quickly disappeared. Moreover, with extreme speed, he approached the one-eyed magic wolf that had been washed far away by the violent wave. Mo Fan subconsciously followed this intermediate mage's path as he finally arrived at the end of the street to find the one-eyed magic wolf covered in debris. After all, an intermediate mage's might was several times stronger than any element in the primary level. Against the one-eyed magic wolf that everyone was unable to do anything about, he was able to use the violent wave to turn it into a half-dead old dog. n/o/vel/b/gen.c//om. Thinking about it, it seemed about right. With such a ferocious wave swatting onto you, a few bones should be broken. Following the rolling, soaking, and previous attacks, even creatures with a higher strength would also directly be turned into trash on the beach. Yang Zhuo evidently did not want to let this one-eyed magic wolf, who almost became a huge threat, go that easily. He used Wind Track to land in front of the one-eyed magic wolf. Wind Disc. The sound of magic was heard. Yang Zhuo instantly transformed from a water magician into a wind magician equipped with the power of wind. A suppression that caused people to stop breathing emerged from the air. Suddenly, the surrounding air looked as though it was being pulled away from something as it began to frantically circulate. Not too far from there, Mo Fan had just arrived in time to see this intermediate mage with a dark blue shirt use a single hand to support the gathering power with all his might. Beneath his foot and above his head were bright star maps that were reflecting one another. They looked gorgeous. Whoosh! It wasn't a gentle wind like the wind track, and definitely not the same as the wind tunnel that was formed to increase one's speed. At this very moment, Mo Fan could clearly feel the churning airflow blowing forwards and circulating at high speed. In a flash, a shocking turbulent tornado emerged before them. The wind disc tornado pulled the immobile one-eyed magic wolf into the air. It drew into an arc as it circulated 20-something meters above ground. The wind disc tornado, which stunned Mo Fan, quickly dissipated. The one-eyed magic wolf, which appeared to be like a small animal, had began to heavily drop from the high sky as the wind disc tornado had lost its force. Not long after, battle mages started appearing in this banyan tree-filled old residential area. Among them was a healing mage, who was currently healing Captain Su Dahuang's ripped-open chest. Fortunately, Su Dahuang was a magician and his body had been strengthened by his stardust. If he had been a common person, then he would have died on the spot. After seeing the large blood scar stretching from Su Dahuang's chest to his abdomen, Mo Fan also realized the importance of a defense spell. At the same time, he also rejoiced over the magical bone scythe shield in his hands, or else he would have died already. Mr. Yang, I think we should still sound the alert. The frequency of the appearances of the magical beast are somewhat high. It's a bit unusual, what Kaidang said to the intermediate mage, Yang Zhuo. Our magic association is already in discussion with the Hunters Union. The government is also contemplating this matter. The only thing is that we have already sounded the alert not too long ago, so sounding another one in such a short time could very easily give rise to panic. Yang Zhuo replied worriedly. A one-eyed magic wolf, a magical beast that isn't supposed to appear in the city, still appeared, which is to say that there are some bad things happening, what Kaitang retorted. Don't worry, we are already investigating this matter. We have already reinforced the safety of the city with people. There are still some bizarre situations that we are unable to deal with. That's why we still need your beast hunter teams to help, Yang Zhuo answered. We will naturally do our best. It's just the captain has suffered some injuries, thus our actions, what Kaidang trailed off. I will let a fire magician temporarily fill your captain's post until he recuperates. Speaking of which, when did your team add a new member? And it's actually a lightning mage. Yang Zhuo asked as he smiled slightly at Mo Fan. Recruited from the auditions. Recruited from the auditions? Yang Zhuo was dumbstruck as he helplessly said, It's my first time hearing of a lightning mage going to a recruitment fair. Everyone began to laugh as their gazes turned to Mo Fan. Mo Fan's performance had actually surprised everyone. When everyone thought they would get killed by the evolving one-eyed magic wolf, he used the second level of lightning strike to create a decisive event. The hunter team rejoiced over the fact that they had picked up this kind of lightning mage who was willing to move around the city with them. One had to understand that lightning mages who has grasped the second level of lightning strike were mostly employed by the large ancestral families. Even if they were to go to the Hunters Union, Magic Association, or the government, they would still be able to freely choose a position of equivalent level. Yuan was standing there as he saw everyone's gaze lock onto that young lightning mage. He couldn't help but frown. Even if he had the light from the major ice element family, or even excelled among the peers of his age, the splendor of the lightning element would still be able to overshadow him. Kaidang, in order to prevent Fan Mo from changing jobs, how about you use your body to tie him down? In any case, he has saved your life once already, and you still don't know how to repay him. Feisher spoke up. Get out! Guo Caitong's arrogant face was blushing as she viciously cursed back. On the side, Yuang's face also immediately turned increasingly gloomy. N/O/vel/B/Jan, that's C//OM. The disturbance caused by the one-eyed magic wolf had finally settled down. After changing his clothes, he returned to the school dorms. When Mo Fan was about to climb over the walls, he discovered a delicate little shadow flashing past by the gate. Zhoumin? Mo Fan was a little surprised. Why hadn't the girl returned back home to sleep? What was she doing squatting here? Mo Fan, that's good. I thought you. After Zhoumin saw Mo Fan was safe and sound, her eyes began to tear up. Zhoumin was, after all, a girl at the peak of her prime. She was particularly moved over the time when Mo Fan sacrificed his own life to save everyone during the practicals. However, she was unable to express herself due to her arrogant pride obstructing the way. This time, due to her grandmother's matter, she almost made Mo Fan lose his life again. Mo Fan had once more saved not only her life, but also her grandmother's, and she had no idea how to repay the kindness. As Mo Fan saw Zhoumin was weeping, he also felt really awkward. In short, thank you for saving my grandmother. My parents are always busy, so I grew up with my grandmother, Zhoumin continued. After consoling her for a good while, Mo Fan advised Zhoumin to return to the female dorms. A boy sending a girl home in the late evening while the girl is crying. This scene would cause many to have ideas. After returning to the dorms, his dorm mates began to question regarding how it was boring this daddy is saving the world, all right? After everyone had gone to sleep, Mo Fan ran to the water tower on the roof of the school building. This place was Mo Fan's holy ground for cultivating. Most of the time, there wouldn't be any people disturbing him. How come the little loach pendant didn't have any reaction after eating that soul essence? It's like it is sound asleep. Mo Fan sat down on the roof of the tower as he began to talk to himself. After saying this, the little loach pendant was like an infant as it woke up. It gently trembled as it let out a blossoming radiance that covered its circumference by a finger length. This radiance looked extremely viscous. It felt like it was like a silk wrapping around the pitch-black pendant. Spinning a cocoon to use for rebirth? Seeing the little loach pendant's transformation, Mo Fan couldn't help but think of a word. In fact, the little loach pendant was slowly being wrapped in the radiance, and was indeed undergoing a transformation. Its old surface had some evident transformations appearing. It was no longer as rusty or stained. It now looked as glossy as jade. The thing which old Manning had left for me is indeed a treasure. Mo Fan was entranced. He could distinctly feel the changes to the loach pendant. After the transformation had finished, its location on his chest was continually receiving a very comfortable flow of energy. When he was being nourished by the common grade Stardust magic tool, it was like being soaked by a spring. His entire body would smooth out from the flow of the comfortable heat. The feeling of quickly loosening up his body and mind was extremely evident. However, after the loach pendant had transformed, Mo Fan could increasingly feel like he was being covered by something unique. If he really were to describe it, it would be a soft silk. That soft silk would not be a burden to the actions performed by his body. It was tightly stuck to his entire body, causing Mo Fan, who had just gone through a big battle, to instantly feel fresh and comfortable. It was like an infant lying down on a soft baby's bed that carried serenity and peace. Mo Fan was delighted. Even though he had never seen a spirit-grade Stardust magic tool, he was still able to clearly feel that this kind of effect from the nourishment definitely belonged to a spirit-grade Stardust magic tool. Other than feeling his exhaustion was quickly dissipating, Mo Fan could feel his own Stardust being showered with nourishment. This kind of feeling was like he was meditating. It is able to increase cultivation without meditating? Mo Fan was thoroughly shocked. The amount of time Mo Fan could endure meditating for was already much longer than other people. With the assistance of the Stardust magic tool, he could cultivate for 12 hours a day, and it wouldn't be a problem. However, the time a person had was still limited. If an even higher grade of Stardust magic tool allowed him to continue cultivating for an increasingly longer period of time, then it wouldn't mean much at all. It's not like Mo Fan would meditate for 24 hours a day. After experiencing combat, Mo Fan understood that if a magician solely relied on meditation to increase their strength, it would not be enough. On the contrary, experiencing combat, being in a life-threatening circumstances, and having the thirst to become stronger when faced against a powerful foe, these had a certain degree of inducing a slow but definite range of increase in Stardust. Thus, Mo Fan needed to maintain a long cultivation time every day, while he also had to join the operations of the Hunter team. If an even higher grade of Stardust magic tool only increased a mage's cultivation time, then it wouldn't be very effective for someone like Mo Fan who could already cultivate for 10 or so hours every day. What went beyond Mo Fan's expectations was that the spirit-grade Stardust magic tool could allow Mo Fan to continually meditate, but also directly nourished his Stardust to a certain degree. n/o/vel/b/jan.c//om. When he was not meditating, his Stardust could still slowly grow. When he meditated, then it would have an even higher effect on the growth of his Stardust than normal. Mo Fan had already attained a longer degree of increase to his meditation time, and if the effects of meditating received a boost, then that was increasing his power like a rocket. Awesome! If it's like this, then not only will I be able to advance to the 3rd level of the fire spell before I graduate, but my lightning spells will also be able to advance to the 3rd level. If I were to strive even harder, I might even be able to touch the threshold to intermediate mage. When the stars reached level 3, it signified that the Stardust was not too far away from transforming into a nebula. Mo Fan had already researched many things concerning intermediate mages. The element that was first formed within a magician's spiritual world was known as a Stardust. When the Stardust within the magician's spiritual world turned into a nebula, the star orbit would appear increasingly magnificent and bright. That meant the magician had reached the intermediate level. The nebula was much bigger than the Stardust. If the Stardust was just a tiny, sparkling dust in the vast universe, then the nebula would be a cloud where starlights converged. The nebula contained increasingly larger amounts of mana. This would signify that the mighty, formidable intermediate magicians could rip open the vast sky and grandly arrive. When you linked the stars within a Stardust, they would become primary magic spells. When you formed a star map with the stars within a nebula, they would become intermediate magic spells. Mo Fan definitely did not forget that when the intermediate mage named Yang Zhua cast his intermediate magic, beneath his foot was an incomparably mysterious and magnificent star map. It was different from the radiance of a star path. The star map was far stranger and mightier. The power within it was enough to earn the boundless admiration of all the magicians who were still hovering around the primary level. The intermediate water magic that was able to wash the entire street, violent wave, and the intermediate wind magic that was able to lift a one-eyed magic wolf that was as heavy as a car 10 or so meters into the sky, wind disc. Let's not even talk about how cool they were, but their strength was even more abnormal. It was definitely on a whole different league than a primary spell. If just the wind and water elements intermediate magic were that amazing, then wait until I have grasped the intermediate spells of lightning and fire. Then who would need to be afraid of the Move family? Let's diligently cultivate. Mo Fan's incredible life has only just started. The winter wind was blowing smoothly from the north. Everywhere it went, the trees stripped off the leaves that covered them as they welcomed the breeze with harsh nudity. In the south, the flora wasn't affected so much by the winds of winter. No matter how strong the wind was, the trees were always suave and green. Having some leaves falling was only giving face to the seasons. The trees were always green 365 days a year. Mo Fan was in Bo City, a city that didn't have very clear seasons. Even the clear seasons would change one day, and that would signify that Father Typhoon was coming. Yet another typhoon season. Mo Fan and his friends were all curling up in their dorms. The moist and cold dorm building with a somewhat musty smell was mostly silent. Most of the students were expending big efforts for the Magic High exams next year. What no one knew was that a mere magician who graduated high school would still need to struggle within society. If you weren't able to strive for a higher position, then it'd be increasingly more difficult to cultivate to a higher level of magic. If you genuinely wanted to stand out from your peers and become a magician that would receive people's reverence, then you must enter a magic university. That way, your chances of becoming an intermediate magician would be significantly bigger. Intermediate magician. That was a magician's one chance to completely change their life. All of the students were all doing their best to strive for this chance. Big Brother Mo Fan, I awakened the healing element. So if Big Brother Mo Fan were to receive any injuries, then I can use magic to heal you. Came a text message along with an adorable smiling face. Mo Fan was slightly astonished. What the heck, what is this? Healing element? How come you awakened the healing element? All of us awakened a basic elemental. So how come you awakened a light magic during your primary awakening? Mo Fan urgently sent a text back to ask. The vast majority of everyone's first element awakening is a basic element. However, there are bound to be some few exceptions. I have heard that others could use some unusual item to conduct their awakening. This would give them a definite chance of awakening a certain magic element. Yishinsha texted back. Conduct awakening? If I were to reach the intermediate level and wanted to awaken an element, then couldn't I use the conducting way that you mentioned to complete it? Mo Fan was delighted. He felt as though he had gained a whole new view of heaven and earth. The prerequisite is that you need to be able to gather the conducting materials. Xinxia, I love you to death. You have helped me solve a huge and difficult issue. Mo Fan's dull mood immediately turned happy. He had always thought that the awakening was random. Whatever element you grabbed would be it. He never thought that there'd be something like awakening conduction in this world. In that case, after reaching the intermediate level and obtaining a chance at awakening his second element, if he were to use the awakening conduction, then he could receive the dark element. The window of magic was unceasingly opening widely for Mo Fan in this short period of time. Every time it opened, Mo Fan could see a future that he yearned for, driving him to passionately cultivate. The progress of his lightning and fire stardust had gone smoothly. The speed of their advancement was a few times faster than his expectations. Especially after meditating and joining the hunter teams for combat, he had shaken off many of his peers. However, this kind of things did not necessarily need to be boasted about. On the day of the Magic High exams, his peers would definitely be so surprised that their chins would come crashing down to the cement floor. Time quickly flowed by. Mo Fan gave his precious youth to cultivating and hunting beasts as he immensely enjoyed this experience. In just a wink, the number of beasts killed by Mo Fan had already gone past 15. In the eyes of the old veterans in the Hunters Union, he would be classified as an extremely experienced magician. In school, the Magic High exams, the waterfall that could allow the students to leap onto the gates of the dragons, was slowly approaching. NOVLB //JNN. Your comfortable days are quickly coming to an end, Mo Fan. Zoa Kunsen said to Mo Fan as he delighted in Mo Fan's misery. With graduation coming, it would also mean the previous magic duel promise, which was witnessed by the school principal, was near. He couldn't help but admit that this guy Mu Zhuiyun sure was cunning. He had set the magic duel on a date before the Magic High exams. This would mean that if Mo Fan were to get into some small accident in this magic duel, then it could very well influence his performance at the Magic High exams. Brother Fan, I heard the neighbors talk about Mu Zhuiyun. He is preparing for Yu Ang's 18th year coming of age ceremony. Our Bo City has always placed a great importance on the coming-of-age ceremony, and a big family clan like the Mu family would definitely set up their most important disciple ceremony to be grander than anything, Zhang Xiaohou said. I know they will invite rich and powerful guests. All the people of importance within Bo City have been invited. Families with status just enjoy doing this kind of stuff, Mo Fan said. But this is so unfavorable toward you. This old scoundrel is obviously trying to cheat you. He's using you as a stepping stone for that guy Yuang. In any case, Brother Fan is currently the #1 student of Tianlan Magic High. If you were to lose the magic duel in front of the gazes of all these people, then not only will it give their family an awe-inspiring authority, but it would also mean that the #1 student amongst the 1,500 at Tianlan Magic High was not able to win against the student nourished by their family. Principal Zhu will not be able to leave that stage. Principal Zhu was the most important person in Tianlan Magic High. He and Mu Zhuyin could be said to be two old rivals in Bo City. The prestige of Principal Zhu in Bo City was very high. After all, he had earned the trust of the people. All of the grassroots magicians who were outstanding were unable to succeed without Principal Zhu's support. Principal Zhu had used the school to dig up many brilliant magicians with no background. Mu Zhuiyun was more of a typical case of a magic family clan. This basically meant the family was more specialized toward nurturing their own disciples. By relying on the more outstanding children of the aristocrats, Mu Zhuiyun was able to obtain a long-standing position within Bo City. Every once in a while, the grassroots magicians and the clan magicians would have a contest. The most important time for Mu Zhuiyun every year was to see the young magicians from his own clan completely wipe out the students which Principal Zhu had nurtured from his public school, Tianlan Magic High. Deng Kai and Principal Zhu were both completely on the side of the school. That was why when Mo fans slandered Mu Zhuiyun, even if they hadn't settled the matter down to having a duel with a younger generation of the Mu family, they would still somehow suppress this matter. A student who was able to take 3 S's in the annual examination, that would make him the school's treasure. How could they let the tyrant Mu Zhuiyun suppress him? After hearing that Mo Fan had smoothly eliminated the summoned beast that went berserk, both Principal Zhu and Deng Kai increasingly felt like they had obtained a treasure. Mo Fan himself didn't know that Principal Zhu and Deng Kai had always been more meticulous about him. The two of them, who put great importance on the grassroots magicians, had always arranged for people to watch over him. However, a school was still a school. They couldn't be selfish. They also wanted to give a Stardust magic tool to Mo Fan, so he could use it all the time. However, they couldn't be like an ancestral family, favoring one and discriminating against the others. When the time arrived for Yu Ang's holiday-like coming-of-age ceremony, Principal Zhu and Deng Kai finally couldn't help themselves and called Mo Fan to the principal's office. Mo Fan had met Deng Kai before. He had stood up to help Mo Fan before. He was the boss of Bo City's Hunters Union. He was even stronger than the intermediate mage Yang Zhua. Principal Zhu was someone Mo Fan was meeting for the first time. This old principal who held a prestigious status in the hearts of the students and their parents actually seemed to have the aura of a hermit. However, when there were big things happening, he would still come out and take charge. Mo Fan, there are some matters we need to discuss with you seriously, Deng Kai took the lead to say. Mo Fan stood there as he listened attentively. The truth is, every now and then, the students of our Tianlan Magic High and the disciples of the Mu family will have a session of interaction. In past years, we would always pick the most outstanding one from among the students, and the student with the strongest combat ability would fight against the disciples of Bo City's families. Originally, we had put our hopes on Su Zhaoding. After all, he is a rare lightning mage, and thus he had a higher chance of success in this contest. However, on the annual examination, you had a very good grades, and were even presumptuous enough to provoke their family. In order to prevent Mu Zhuiyun from making your life difficult, we intentionally moved the matter toward this fight that was already bound to happen, Deng Kai sincerely said to Mo Fan. I know, what I meant to say is, thank you to you two directors for helping me out of an embarrassing situation, Mo Fan said. To be honest, we have already helped you delay the time by 2 years. The growth that you have been through within these 2 years has been noted in our hearts. But you still need to pay the cost for being so rude back then. Denkai helplessly shook his head. Denkai had already obtained some information from other people. Yuang's cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds in these 2 years. Additionally, he had real combat practice provided by the family. Even if Mo Fan was more clever, he still might not be Yuang's opponent. Everyone knew that he was lucky when he had killed the summoned beast back then. The principal sighed. Mo Fan, we also know that the heavens are sometimes unfair. They sometimes give people a privilege from birth, where others get nothing. However, this does not mean that you can blame the gods and accuse others and boldly vent out the resentments in your heart. Although you may have spoken out about your discontent to these superior characters, and there are many who want to do the same, they also signify that you are putting yourself on the edge of the abyss. When your strength is far from being capable of contending against a big family like this, swallowing your anger is not a bad thing, Principal Zhu said with sincere and earnest wishes. Principal Zhu had been a principal for so many years, and had seen many students who had been haughty. Some of them really did accomplish a lot, and had become magicians whom many revered. Some others, however, had sunk so far that they were never heard of again. Talent was important, cultivating was important, but the most important thing was to judge the size of the situation. Don't do unnecessary things. The school was only able to provide protection for a few years. After joining society, only the words of those who are at the top mattered. Thank you for the guidance. I was indeed too willful back then, Mo Fan nodded. The reason as to why we called here today naturally isn't for educating you. We actually do hope for you to remain victorious in the duel this time. And that is because the winner will obtain a chance to cultivate at Bo City's sole underground holy spring. Principal Zhu continued. Underground holy spring? Mo Fan's eyes immediately brightened. This wasn't the first time Mo Fan had heard of the underground holy spring. It appeared that the one-eyed magic wolf from that time had stolen the energy from the underground holy spring, and it had almost evolved into an even higher rank. From that, it was evident that the underground holy spring was the heavenly treasure of Bo City. Even the magical beasts would sneak into the dangerous areas where humans dwelled to steal it. Our Bo City naturally has some special resources. They're specially provided for those who are on the verge of entering the magic universities. Unfortunately, the underground holy spring is an extremely limited resource. We can only open it up for a single student every once in a while. This student isn't just simply chosen from a school, but the magic clans and ancestral families also have to fight for the spot, Principal Zhu said. After saying this, Deng Kai couldn't help but give off a bitter smile. Principal Zhu, we haven't had the qualifications to take that spot for many years. I feel like it is always taken by the disciples of the clans and families. That's not strange at all. The ancestral families and clans are able to focus their resources into an outstanding disciple. Additionally, the nurturing and training which they can obtain is not something our egalitarian school can compete with. Principal Zhu seemed quite calm. It appeared he was already indifferent about this matter. Mo Fan, the outcome of this battle is not something you need to put any importance on. Having you realize the might of a disciple from an ancestral family is also good. In the future, you will be able to stay calmer on the road of cultivation and work even harder. As for the revenge from the Mu family, that won't be something you need to worry about. After you enter a magic university, they naturally won't be able to touch you that easily. And if you were to remain in Bo City, then we are still quite willing to continue carrying on nurturing you, Deng Kai said. After hearing the two teachers' words, Mo Fan felt somewhat moved. No wonder why Principal Zhu and Deng Kai has such prestige within the hearts of the students and their parents. It seemed like they had always been on the side of the common students. They were willing to protect the common students, even from the ancestral families and clans. These kind of people were hard to find. One had to know that the school directors of many other public schools would try to curry favors with the strong. All right, the competition is the day after tomorrow. Adjust your mindset and perform properly. Even if winning against this Yuang, who has been carefully nurtured by the Mu family, is impossible, the duel this time is still an opportunity for you. It is not an everyday occurrence that you can gather so many important people of Bo City to watch youngsters have a duel. Even after you enter in university, a magician's advancement requires a large amount of resources. If you are to find someone of influence to watch over you before you enter university and is willing to subsidize you, then it will be much better for you after you enter university. After all, the competition amongst the magicians in the universities are even fiercer. If you don't have anything, then you won't be a match for those students who have an even stronger power behind them, Principal Zhu told Mo Fan. The two teachers didn't say anything useless. In fact, they were telling Mo Fan the answers to questions that he would encounter in the future. They hoped for Mo Fan to understand that the road of magicians wasn't that simple. Mo Fan once again expressed his thanks to the two teachers. The time went past very quickly. The Mu family was in their manor, as they wildly beat their gongs and drums. Mo Fan walked out of the school. He raised his head up at an angle, as he couldn't help but sigh in sorrow. *T. 3 years have gone past so fast. It's not long before I will have to leave this school gate. 3 years ago, I walked out of middle school. 3 years later, I'm on the verge of walking out of this high school. The school gates had numerous cars parked there today. Most of them were here to pick up their adorable mage children and return home. The school had given the students 10 days of self-cultivation time in order to welcome the Magic High exams that happened after those 10 days. But before the Magic High exams, Mo Fan naturally still had his duel. In fact, he had been waiting far too long for this day to arrive. n/o/vel/b/in.c//om. He could not forget the high horse attitude which Mui had displayed when he snatched away their family house, nor his father Mo Jiaxing's low and petty action that caused Mo Fan's heart to tighten. He would definitely not forget Mu Zhuiyun's conceited attitude from 2 years ago. A long time ago, he had treated them as a dog as he drove them out. Yet on that day, he threw a bone and called Mo Fan back, expecting him to come. Was he born into this society to be controlled at the very bottom by the guys who tyrannically abused him? No one should be born to be someone else's slave, unless they were willing to lick the shoes of their owner. The him of yesterday was indeed not even worth mentioning, a clown with a mouse as sideshow. Tomorrow, he would enter the gates of the Mu family and rely on the cultivation which he had bitterly worked on for so many years to defeat the disciple which they had carefully nurtured and let this fool understand what it meant to start a great fire with just a tiny spark. Mo Fan, a familiar middle-aged man yelled toward him. "Father, how come you're here?" Mo Fan asked as he lowered his head, astonished. "I heard that the school is giving you guys a self-study holiday, so I came here to pick you up." Mo Jiaxing revealed a spotless row of teeth, his face filled with a silly smile. It felt like he had returned to 3 years ago when he had walked out from failing the exams. It had also been filled with cars by the gates, and his father, Mo Jiaxing, had been waiting with the crowd, his face sweating. The difference was that Mo Jiaxing was more tanned and skinny. Mo Fan didn't even need to ponder to understand that his father had been running all over the place for the family in the past 3 years. The other difference was that Mo Fan himself had gone from a student who was lagging behind the others to a magician who had grasped the lightning and fire element. At the very least, he was worthy to face Mo Jiaxing's decision to send him to the magic school without hesitation. "Father, you don't need to work so hard. Didn't I transfer a bit of money over to you?" When Mo Fan saw his father this tanned, he began to feel bad. "You can keep your money to yourself. A magician needs a lot of money. I have heard from the old mages in the stronghold saying that there is something called a stardust magic tool that is able to increase the speed of your cultivation. I'll see if I can raise some money to buy you one. This way you'll have something when you enter university, or else what would you have to compete against those other kids from the big cities?" Mo Jiaxing said with a smile. Mo Fan was momentarily speechless. Magic had replaced science, yet Mo Jiaxing was still like a common father, pure and blunt. "Don't worry. That thing has already been provided to me by the school. Don't worry. Take that money and go check out houses with Little Ant when you have time. You don't have to buy it. You can just rent one for now," Mo Fan said. This year Mo Fan had hunted quite a few beasts. Their commission was considerable, from 120 to 130k RMB. This money was not enough to buy magic equipment nor magical tools, but it was enough to allow his father to rest for a period of time and relieve the pressure of their finances. The truth is, Mo Fan didn't know how to tell his father, Mo Jiaxing, that a Stardust magical tool was actually really, really expensive. It's not something you could afford even if you were to work hard for a few years. This thing was something you couldn't buy even if you were to work hard for several lifetimes. That's not necessary. You're entering university soon. Who would be staying in that house? It's better if Xinxia is at your little aunt's, and us big men have a hard time taking care of her. I give your little aunt some money every month. Speaking of which, the card you gave me has about 100 or so thousand, plus I have around 80,000 saved from running all over the place. In total, there is 200,000. It's enough to buy a piece of magical equipment, right? I heard that thing is extremely important for magicians, Mo Jiaxing continued. I already have a piece of magical equipment. Oh, I almost forget. You had obtained a magical tool from Zhankong. Honestly, you're really giving face to your father. I don't know how many times I've heard the old hunters in the stronghold talk about that matter. Speaking of this thing, Mo Jiaxing's face was brimming brilliantly as he just now realized it had already been a year. Tomorrow, I will go to Mu Manor to have a magic duel with someone called Yuang, Mo Fan said sincerely to his father. I know. I have implored some elders in Mu family to have Yuang go easier on you. Either way, you're only there to give some luck to his coming-of-age ceremony. Being able to display yourself in front of so many powerful and influential people of Bo City is also an extremely rare chance for you. Speaking of which, I wonder how you even thought of this kind of outstanding method back then. Anyway, don't offend Master Mu again. He is still unhappy about the thing between you and Mu Ningxue back then. You little brat, so young, yet the pearl of a family almost eloped with you, Mo Jiaxing said. NOVLB //JNN. Mo Jiaxing didn't blame Mo Fan for the things that happened in the past. Mo Fan was too young back then. Doing a few stupid things was only normal. Furthermore, the biggest problem didn't lie in his own son. The problem was the other family was too powerful. Sigh. If only Mu Ningxue was the daughter of a common family. That way, he'd have gained a daughter-in-law. This little brat didn't have any redeeming qualities. Yet his ability in swindling a lady back when he was a child was outstanding. This magic duel was seen as an incredibly good thing by Mo Jiaxing. Many other disciples who had better circumstances than Mo Fan were very eager to appear at this incomparably grand coming-of-age ceremony. Even if they were only there to enhance Yuang, it was still a supreme honor. For a fool like Mo Fan, this kind of opportunity was indeed very good. As long as this Mo Fan didn't have intentions to actually fight for the outcome of the battle. What kind of a background did the other person have? If they were able to be the supporting character, that'd be fine as well. If Yuang really became a great character of Bo City in the future, then they'd at least be able to say, I fought with him once before. Father, I will be able to win, Mo Fan said sincerely. Don't be too ambitious. I'm already very satisfied with the grades you have gotten now, Mo Jiaxing said as he patted Mo Fan's shoulder while laughing. Seeing Mo Jiaxing's attitude, Mo Fan's heart was somewhat puzzled. Why do you guys think I am going there to be someone else's cannon fodder? The Mu family's invitations were sent ages ago. The entire Mu Manor was already surrounded by their distinguished friends and high-class crowds. The employees of Mu Manor were extremely busy. Even a stray weed in the flower bed would cause a huge fuss before they fixed it. Mu Zhiyun went overboard for the coming-of-age ceremony this time, making sure everyone in Bo City would know about it. Mo Fan had wondered in the past why Mu Zhiyun had set him to fight against Yuang. It seemed like this cunning sly fox had actually planned this whole thing. It was all about adding a little good luck charm to the grand banquet. Just drinking and eating would have no meaning. Watching the younger generation duel was better. Not only would he be able to deal with a sewer rat like Mo Fan beneath the gazes of everyone, but it would also give his Mu family some face. What reason would he have to not go through with it? To be honest, Mo Fan really hadn't thought that the old scoundrel Mu Zhiyun would give it such wide publicity. Perhaps it really was as Principal Zhu and Deng Kai had said. This was a contest between the disciples of an ancestral family and the students from school. The current MO fan was no longer just the student with the best grades at Tionlon Magic High in name only. There was a chance that even if he hadn't inconvenienced Master Mu, he still would have ended up battling against the disciple of the ancestral family. That's fine. We'll deal with the new and old grudges at the same time. Old scoundrel, since you gave it such a wide publicity, then this daddy, I will make you lose face. MO fan stood in front of his old house. As he raised his head to look at the Mu Manor that was decorated with lanterns and colored banners as it lit up splendidly, it brought a cold smile to his face. On top of the manor, Mu Zhuiyun suddenly sneezed. He was currently sitting inside the tea room as he rubbed his mustache. His face was filled with pride as he looked at Mu Ningxue, who had returned a while ago during the summer holidays. This coming-of-age ceremony was originally prepared for you. However, your father, I didn't think that you were far more outstanding than what we had imagined. This tiny Bo city is no longer something you need to contend for. This coming-of-age ceremony will be given to Yuong. He is loyal to our family. In the future, he can become your right hand when you contest against the disciples of other elemental ancestor families. Mu Zhuiyun said. For his daughter, Mu Zhuiyun had actually gone through a lot of trouble. Why are you still holding on to him so tightly? Even if you wanted to let Yuong obtain the opportunity of the underground holy spring the proper way, you could still have chosen someone else. Finally, Mu Ningxue couldn't help but open her mouth. The him Mu Ningxue was pointing at was naturally MO fan. That little scoundrel slandered me in front of so many people. How could I possibly forgive him? Doesn't he think that he's noble and virtuous? Doesn't he think that he's amazing? How is it inappropriate of me to give him such an exceptionally good opportunity? I've already arranged it. When the time comes, you just need to sit next to me and watch. Mu Zhuiyun's mood immediately changed when this matter was brought up. Still protecting that kid at this time? Mu Zhuiyun did not understand. There were so many outstanding disciples from these large ancestral families, yet she didn't say more than a sentence to them. She just had to care about a poor kid who didn't know how to admit his mistakes and had no abilities whatsoever. Then tell Yuong to stop before he goes too far. Mu Ningxue knew that her father wouldn't budge a single step on this matter. Thus, she also spoke of her own bottom line. Don't worry, I have morals. I only want to let this kid who doesn't know the difference between heaven and earth to understand that the dignity which I stomped on doesn't mean anything. Whereas tomorrow, he will understand that being completely defeated beneath the gazes of everyone is truly losing all his face. Mu Zhuiyun couldn't help but smile. Little thing, you want to play with me, Mu Zhuiyun? When I shook the whole of Bo City, you were still inside your mother's womb. I, Mu Zhuiyun, have a variety of ways to make you unable to raise your head again within Bo City. The moonlight was charming, and there was a wind flowing around the tranquil Bo City, giving it the gentility and elegance possessed only by a southern city. The mountains outside of the city were endless. Tomorrow was the day that was extremely important to his life. The children of poor people didn't have a coming-of-age ceremony. However, from everyone else's perspective, he already had a decent coming-of-age ceremony, being the supportive role to the disciple of a rich family. From everyone else's perspective, he was also undoubtedly crouching on the floor, acting like a footpad for Yuang's shiny leather shoes, so that Yuang could appear even more outstanding among his peers. However, was that really true? Lifting the beer in his hand, Mo Fan raised his head to pour the ice-cold beer down his throat. In front of him was a tall tower. The 100-meter-tall Global Trade Center was towering in front of him. It was like a prominent sword loftily erected in the center of the city, with glorious lights. Mo Fan sat on the balcony with the wind drifting onto him. In the past, he had really enjoyed sitting here. He was able to see all of the flourishing scenery of Bo City, the Global Trade Center, Mu Manor, Bo River, and Tionlon Magic High, located on the southern mountain. He was feeling rather rueful. Behind him came the sound of footsteps, rhythmic and slow. An ice-cold wind blew over from behind him. Mo Fan didn't need to turn around to know who it was. I asked Xinxia. She told me you were here, the girl's bright voice called out. If it wasn't so cold and detached, then her voice would be as beautiful as a silver bell on a snowy day. Looking for me this late at night? I won't be able to elope with you this time. Mo Fan grabbed a paper used to wrap peanuts and put it next to him, signifying someone should sit there. Mu Ningxue stood there, watching Mo Fan's familiar movements as she remembered some things from the past. When she was young, he would take her to some bizarre places to play. No matter where he went, he was able to sit on the floor, whereas she would be afraid of dirtying her beautiful skirts, so she'd refuse to sit. At some point, he started to find something clean to put down next to him. Even his jacket was a victim, although his jacket sometimes would be filthy. Don't go tomorrow. Yuan will be harsh on you. He listens to my father's every direction. Anyone who harms my father, even if it is just cursing at him, he will harbor grudges toward and will not stop until you die. Mu Ningxue didn't walk over. She just stood there as she said this to Mo Fan. Your father sure adopted a good dog. I reckon he'd bite anyone your father wants him to. Mo Fan didn't have a favorable opinion of Yuan. He's really odd. I don't like him either, Mu Ningxue agreed. Then that's good. I'll help you educate him tomorrow, Mo Fan said with a smile. Do you not understand me? I don't want you to go tomorrow. Mu Ningxue wrinkled her eyebrows. Miss, have you reached the intermediate rank yet? Don't go tomorrow. After avoiding this, go to Magic University immediately. During the time you're in university, I will slowly take control of the authority of my family. So when you return to Bo City, no one will do anything to you. You want to provide for me? But I will still go. Mo Fan turned around as he acted surprised. Mu Ningxue was so angry that her chest heaved up and down. She sincerely wanted to help him. Yet, he was playing such a joke on her. Doesn't he know that offending my father means that he will have no place in Bo City? n/o/vel/b//and.c//om. Mu Ningxue realized she was unable to get through to Mo Fan. Thus, she turned around and left. Brother Fan, I heard that little princess was looking for you, Zhang Xiaohou asked through a text. Yeah, what happened? She still admires me. She wanted me to understand the tyrannical and cruel guy named Yuan. Speak normally, please. All right, she wants me to run in order to avoid dying. Ha ha. Brother Fan, I also suggest you run. Yuan is abnormal. His entire being is odd. The day arrived in the end. Mo Fan, who had stayed at his little aunt Mo Qing's house, heard the sounds of festivities early in the morning from the Moon Manor, not too far from him. One after another, luxurious cars followed the curvy mountainous road as they entered Moon Manor. Who knew whether Mo Fan, who was going there by motorbike, was losing face for the title of Yuang's opponent? Just when he was about to enter the large iron gates, Missouri Fan saw a few familiar figures. Li Wenjie Feisher, you're finally here. Hurry up and come in. Our manor has some of the best chefs of Bo City. I guarantee it will suit your tastes. Guakaidang stood by the gates as she welcomed her team members. Ha ha. Thanks to you, the small city officers are able to have the opportunity to come to this wealthy ancestral family's home and take a look. Feisher patted his growling stomach. It's too bad that Kid Fan Mo had some matters to attend to, so he was unable to come. Or else you could let him understand your extravagant life. And when the time comes, he will definitely pursue you without stopping. Li Wenjie added. Guakaidang glared ferociously at Li Wenjie. Guakaidang actually felt somewhat disappointed. She actually really wanted to invite Fan Mo to her own house. And it's Fan Mo? Guacaitang's gaze suddenly turned to see a familiar figure. After looking carefully, Guakaidang immediately felt loathing and twitchy. How is that Fan Mo? It obviously was that little scoundrel, Mo Fan. I really don't know where this kid got his guts from. He's actually having a duel with Yuan. No matter what, he's going to be beaten half to death. If you came? Guakaidang looked at Mo Fan sideways. Arrogance was not enough to describe her appearance. Yeah, there's no other place to eat breakfast, Mo Fan said with a ruffian-like attitude. Guakaidang got angry. This little scoundrel was making the Moon Manor into a buffet. If you apologize now, I will tell Yuan to go easier on you, Guakaidang snorted coldly. You're still brooding over the things that happened when we were young. In that case, how about I take responsibility for it? It's not a big deal, Mo Fan said. Go die. After Mo Fan finished teasing Guakaidang, He laughed as he walked toward Moon Manor. In any case, he was an important character for today, so he should have his own seat. Forget it, there's so much to eat. Let's start with everything. Who is this haughty kid? That's the disciple of an ancestral family. He even dares to assail our sister Kaidang with obscenities. What ancestral family? It's just the son of a chauffeur. The one who cursed our master Mu. And the one who is having a magic duel with Yuang today is precisely him. What Kaidang snarled, full of disdain. Are all the teenagers nowadays that arrogant? Not all of them, if you look at the fan MO in our team, lightning element with a solid strength. Young, yet not arrogant. Kaidang, I advise you to grab fan MO as soon as possible. If he is taken by some other girl, Fasher said once more. Don't talk about useless stuff. I invited him to my home this time. Yet he actually didn't come. Who would understand him? Guo Caitong's cheeks turned red as she hurriedly explained herself in a low voice. After entering the inside of the Moon Manor, Mo Fan unfortunately heard Fasher, Li Wenjie, and Guo Kaidang having a discussion about himself. Within his heart, he thought about what kind of expressions they would have if they knew that Fan Mo and Mo Fan were the same person. Forget it. Let's focus on the matters of the duel today. N/O/vel/B//Jin.C//om. Entering Moon Manor's large dinner hall, there were indeed numerous tasty delicacies being placed on the table. Mo Fan, who was just getting hungry, was about to start eating before he came face to face with a handsome mustachioed man who was surrounded by young, unmarried women. Good brat, you really dare to join the banquet, the mustached man glared at Mo Fan. Head instructor, you're also here to eat and drink for free? Mo Fan didn't think that head instructor Zhang Kong would be here as well. Cough. What are you saying? The mustache Zhang Kong broke loose from the crowd of young women. He pulled Mo Fan to the side as he asked with his eyebrows cocked. How about it? Why don't you join my army when you graduate? If you're able to enter a good magic university, then our army will be able to support the whatever large cost of your magic university. I know that you brat has caused trouble for the master. The government can protect you and guarantee that you will be able to stomp on these second generations if you aren't satisfied. We will clean up your mess. This wasn't the first time Zhang Kong wanted to pull Mo Fan into his army, and it was very hard to say if it was only to have Mo Fan give back the precious bone-side shield. No, protecting the borders every day is boring. I still want to take a stroll around the big cities. Mo Fan rejected him. What's so good about a large city? Reinforced concrete, vehicle emissions, and putrid stench. How is it better than our large stronghold with an enchanting scenery, with bird songs, and fragrant flowers? If you're not satisfied with the meals, then you could go to the outside and hunt a few magical beasts to bring back home to eat. How free is that? Zhang Kong said with his face filled with smiles. Either way, I'm not enlisting, Mo Fan said with certainty. All right, you brat sure is unyielding. If you nod your head today, then this head instructor will definitely help you settle any big matters in the future. Since it's like this, then I won't care even if you get beaten half dead by that guy Yuang. Zhang Kong started getting angry. With Zhang Kong's reputation, he could get any young magicians he wanted as they all begged him to take them in, yet this kid didn't even give him any attention. As Mo Fan was about to walk away, Zhang Kong pressed his finger onto Mo Fan's shoulders. Head instructor, what is the meaning of this? Are you going to make me join by force? Mo Fan asked in confusion. At this moment, Zhang Kong had retracted that vulgar yet handsome uncle appearance. Between his eyebrows showed a hint of seriousness as he whispered, Not joining my team is fine, but help me with one small matter. What matter? Mo Fan was puzzled. When you battle that kid Yuang, be mindful. Mindful of what? Just be more mindful. I don't understand. Before Mo Fan could inquire more, two middle-aged men and women who looked important were walking over. They appeared to be familiar with Zhang Kong. Zhang Kong immediately smiled as he greeted them. Mo Fan was completely confused. He didn't know what Zhang Kong wanted him to do. Not too long after, Principal Zhu, Deng Kai, Yang Zhuohe, and the more important characters of Bo City began to appear. Mu Zhuiyun personally brought Yuang along to greet all of them. Principal Zhu represented the magic school. He was the MT Tai of all the magic schools in Bo City. Deng Kai was the head of Hunters Union. His position was naturally aloof. Yang Zhuohe represented the Magic Association. His power approached the previous two. The one representing the military was Zhang Kong, and it could be said that he was the strongest magician in this crowd of people, and the true god of war of Bo City. Mu Zhuiyun didn't need any introductions. He was the head of this elemental family. Mo Fan unexpectedly realized that he had met all these important characters of Bo City. Thus, did that mean he himself was also an important character? Ed note. Sure, it's all about you, Mr. MC. The fact is, Mo Fan also knew that he was quite a distance away from that group of people. He was able to easily receive the attention of these people at the top of the ladder because of his identity as a student who excelled beyond the common. Once he entered society, and the great tides washed by, he reckoned that they would quickly forget about him. The three instructors, Luo Yunbua, Pan Lijun, and Baiyang, were also participating. Based on what Mo Fan had found out from the mouths of those veterans at the stronghold, these three instructors' powers were a bit stronger than the hunter team's captain, Su Dahuang. They were all people who were approaching intermediate mage. The truth is, those who had reached intermediate magician in Bo City could count as impressive. Any power would try to offer a powerful person benefits to rope them in. Frankly speaking, if Mo Fan were to reach intermediate magician, then Mu Zhuiyun would no longer dare to cause trouble for him. The amount of intermediate mages in Bo City could be counted on two hands. Mu Zhuiyun really went all out this time. He invited so many people here. It feels like those who have the slightest bit of prestige are invited, and they came here to give old Zhuiyun enough face. Inside the banquet, there were already a few people whispering. How could that be? The Mu family has already produced a Mu Ningxue. Their future position won't be on the same level as it is currently. Who doesn't know that old Zhuiyun will quickly be able to cover the skies with his hands? Today, he will introduce his little tyrant of Bo City. Thus, if you want to be able to make something out of yourself in Bo City in the future, how could you not come? If you don't come despite being invited, then I reckon you'll be dragged onto the blacklist. A man who looked like he should be from the Magic Association whispered. Isn't that a bit exaggerated? Another person said. It's true. It's definitely true. Look at us. At what age did we cultivate to intermediate mage level? And then look at Mu Ningxue. How old is she? From that, you can tell the amount of power the Mu family will be able to grasp in the future. That's why other than Boss Zhangkong, someone who has transcended beyond common people like us, everyone will have to treat old Zhuiyun with respect. I really don't understand what that foolish brat called Mo Fan is really thinking. Even we have to say yes to everything Mu Zhuiyun says. Yet he talks back. He really doesn't want to stay in Bo City. Sigh. That's hard to say. I've heard that Mu Ningxue and Mu Zhuiyun's relationship isn't too good. If Mu Ningxue says to not touch someone, then Mu Zhuiyun can't be too excessive. Yeah, besides, I've heard that Kid Mo Fan is the student with the highest grades in Tianlan Magic High, and he obtained the backing of Boss Zhangkong during his practicals. Principal Zhu and Deng Kai would definitely protect this kind of student. Even if the two don't want to offend Mu Zhuiyun, Boss Zhangkong wouldn't care about that. Who has Boss Zhangkong ever been scared of? Whoever touches his soldiers. He would crush everything on his way to their home. As Feisher realized these people were discussing this, he immediately went up to them to join them. Not long after, Feisher came back. Xiaoke was curious, so she asked Feisher, Brother Feisher, why is everyone discussing the matter of Yuang and that person called Mo Fan? Oh, I also just found out. Mo Fan is representing the strength of magic schools to a certain degree. He will be using the identity of a student of a magic school to duel against Yuang, who is a disciple of an ancestral family. The winner would naturally obtain an opportunity to cultivate at the extremely super ultra precious underground holy spring of Bo City, Feisher explained. So it's like that. I heard that it has been many years since a student from a magic school has entered the underground holy spring. That's normal. The schools have many students to tend for. Having one or two incredible geniuses appearing occasionally counts as a good harvest. The disciples of the ancestral families are the elites. They may not have as many people as the schools, but they are all elites. It won't be too weird if that person called Mo Fan becomes the stepping stone for someone else today. It feels quite lamentable. An outstanding student who emerged victorious from 1,500 people is still not better than someone from an ancestral family. Xiao sighed. Being born into a good family is a skill. Mo Fan walked around and obtained some news from the people around. That's what I thought. What was the point of making two youngsters duel so grand? As it turns out, it is actually a duel between the powers of Bo City. This battle was indeed not a bad thing for himself. Perform well during the duel, and he'd make a name for himself. That's not bad at all. Zhoumin Xiaoho, Hiyu, Zhang Yinglu, Su Zhaoding, Wang Samping. How come you guys are here too? Mo Fan suddenly discovered a group of relatively young figures. It turned out they were his classmates. The school had a few spots, and Mu Bai helped getting us in here. It's not every day that you see the school's #1 expert fight with the disciples of an ancestral family. How could we not come and see? Su Zhaoding sounded a bit sour. For Su Zhaoding, a great lightning element user, this spot was originally his. In the end, it was stolen by Mo Fan, who killed his way here. However, after what happened during practicals, Su Zhaoding's scorn towards Mo Fan was no longer as fierce as before. Everyone's lives were basically saved by Mo Fan. In fact, he was actually hoping for Mo Fan to perform brilliantly during the duel this time, so he could regain some face for the magic schools. Brother Fan, I just saw Uncle Mo Jiaxing's name on the invitation list. I reckon it was done by that guy Mu He, Zhang Xiaoho said. That's a good thing. Mo Fan, you need to do your best, Zhoumin said with a pure smile. Mo Fan nodded. The Mo Fan from 2 years would never have imagined that his duel would turn into such a passionate topic among the crowds today. That is also good. The feelings of having so many eyes on you is also an once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's way better than being in the dark with no one knowing of you. Everyone, I'm thankful for everyone who made it here to congratulate my son. Time always flies by so fast, some of us will definitely reach a point where we are unable to cast magic. Bo City's future will inevitably be seized by those younger and ever more outstanding youths. You may think that I have invited everyone here for my son's coming-of-age ceremony. That is a mistake. I have always believed in the students surpassing the master. I, Mu Zhuiyun, am only able to do this much for Bo City. I am only able to help preserve the current state of this Bo City that has given birth to many magicians and outstanding, talented people. However, in the next 10 to 20 years, Bo City will be in the hands of the young and will become even more prosperous. Becoming an increasingly more flourishing mage city is definitely possible. Don't you think that I should be holding a majestic banquet for the future of Bo City, so everyone can witness it together? Mu Zhuiyun was the organizer. He raised the goblet with red wine as his face filled with a red aura to hint to the present guests. All right, let's give a toast for the future of Bo City. Yang Zuohe was the first to stand up as he greeted Mu Zhuiyun. The people present are all those who have the qualifications to discuss our Bo City. Master Mu Zhuiyun is not the only one who is looking forward to the future of our Bo City. This toast, I will drink all at once. The present guests also stood up as they toasted before drinking it all. Amongst the people in the hall, Mo Fan discovered that Mrs. Tang Yue, who was also present at the banquet, was feeling as sick as he was from what Mu Zhuiyun had said. She even rolled her eyes during the toast. He didn't know which part of Mu Zhuiyun that Mrs. Tang Yue was against. Realizing his ambitions, after the impassioned and mighty Mu manner that almost emitted golden rays, feast had ended. Naturally, they welcomed the most important play of the day, the magic duel. Many of these people really did not come here to listen to Mu Zhuiyun's stereotypical speech. They just wanted to know whose family the underground holy spring would fall on this year. NOVLB //JNN. There were numerous magicians within Bo City who were in the primary level and had only been able to use the same magic, so much that their old hands began to develop calluses. Whereas how many were there exactly who had actually taken a step into the realm of intermediate mages? Stardust was unfathomable. Some people displayed talents from the start, yet at the end of the day, they were unable to cross that threshold. Thus, those who had been primary magicians their whole lives could be found everywhere. Hence the heavenly treasure, the underground holy spring. that was able to infinitely increase a magician's chances to approach the intermediate level, became a holy item everyone was yearning for even in their dreams. Unfortunately, it was only open to the younger generations of magicians who were filled with unlimited possibilities. Furthermore, only one person could enter every year, and few could win against a disciple of an ancestral family. When Mo Fan was just a student, he didn't know that Bo City had this kind of heavenly treasure. He also didn't know that time being rude and impetuous would allow him to hit the cultivation opportunity which numerous people within Bo City were thirsting for. It seemed to comply with the saying, if you don't do your best, then you won't know how great your strength is. The time of the magic duel finally came. Mo Fan was already waiting in the inner arena of the magic duel after hearing the arrangements from Mu Zhuiyun. An elliptical center emerged in the duel arena. It was much bigger than the training grounds of the school. It approached the size of a sports stadium. On both sides were ascending seats, more than enough to contain today's invited guests of the Bo City. Mo Fan was standing in the center of the duel arena. In fact, he had been standing there for a while. Yuong was late. It was clear that Mu Zhuiyun wanted to give him a gorgeous appearance on stage. This kind of feeling wasn't good. This made Mo Fan feel like he was in a bullfighter ring. He was the bull that was released onto the ring, so everyone could watch him. Let the spectators understand what kind of weight this bull had. To see the sturdy physique and sharp bull horns. Then the leading role, the handsome and elegant matador, brilliantly enters the arena a little while later. All kinds of lighting begins to flicker, and all kinds of applause screeches. My son, that's right, that is my son. Mo Jiaxing was definitely optimistic. He was cheerfully telling the old employees of Mu family at the side. Not bad. Old Mo, it could be said that you brought a change of fortune, a worker who dealt with the garden said. Is that right, as long as he doesn't get completely beaten? I have heard this Yuong is normally unusually fierce against his own brothers and sisters, a worker who is in charge of cleaning said. The youths are just testing their skills. How could they be fierce? Mo Jiaxing chuckled. In Mo Jiaxing's view, this was just a very common duel. He also thought that a great character like Mu Zhuiyun wouldn't have the mind of a child. The truth is, a lot of the people knew that Mu Zhuiyun wanted to stomp on this Mo Fan, who didn't know the difference between heaven and earth. I bet on this kid Mo Fan being beaten in a single move. *T. No matter what, he is still the #1 student of Tian Lan Magic High. How could that be possible? I will bet on it either way. I have heard of Yuang's abilities many times before. As everyone was incessantly discussing this, Yuang, who was wearing a unique garment, finally emerged. His clothes looked like they were made of leather, but at the same time, they also looked like high-quality silk. It was sparkling beneath the illumination of the lights. His entire person looked like a prince who was walking into his palace. In terms of the appearance, it was clear that they put a lot of effort into it. This really caused a huge contrast with Mo Fan, who wore sandals to the arena. After Yuang wore high-class clothes, his entire demeanor had immediately risen by a few levels. Adding to his already tall stature and somewhat feminine traits, bedazzling a few girls was natural. On the snowy white clothes was a design that fused the family's ice magic diagram. Yuang brilliantly entered the arena, and the corner of his mouth displayed a confident smile that indicated that he was the main character today. Crap, this old guy Mu Zhuiyun is really going all out. Are you able to count how much magic equipments and how many magic tools are on his body? As Deng Kai saw this, he almost jumped out of his chair. Principal Zhu repeatedly shook his head. The reason why the numerous students from school were unable to beat the disciples of an ancestral family was not just because their cultivation was slightly lacking, but their equipment was definitely not as good. At this coming-of-age ceremony, who knew how many magic tools and how much magic equipment old man Mu Zhuiyun had given to Yuang? What about Mo Fan? Other than the bone-sized shield he received from Zhang Kong, it appeared that he has nothing else. How do you even fight this? Seeing this scene, Principal Zhu and many other people from the school were slightly dejected. Deng Kai, since this duel was approved by you, then you could be the referee for it this time. Mu Zhuiyun gave a slight smile. He was waiting to see a good play around the cat dominating the rat. Deng Kai really did not know what to say. He could only pray for Mo Fan in his heart. The two are both well-known figures amongst the younger generations. Having the duel is to motivate you to work even harder on your cultivation. Either way, take your positions. Deng Kai stood in between the two young magicians as he said this with a voice everyone could hear. Deng Kai then slowly took a few steps back, but he did not completely exit the field. At that spot, if something were to happen, then he could quickly put a stop to it. All right, shake hands. Wait for my signal to start. Deng Kai said. Mo Fan and Yuong were facing each other as they both extended their arms. An wisp of ice condensed on Yuang's palm. At the instant Mo Fan shook hands with him, he could feel a cold air penetrating into the depths of his bone marrow. Mo Fan's response was quick, as his arm turned burning red. The flames were protecting his own flesh, arteries, and bones. With his face remaining the same, he raised his other hand to erect a middle finger toward Yuong. You really are a little rat that doesn't know anything. However, that won't be a problem. I will freeze your brain that is filled with water. That way, it could perhaps make you more clear-headed. After Yuong let go of his hand, he turned around as he let out a cold laugh before taking his position. Idiot, Mo Fan replied. After returning to his designated place after turning around, Mo Fan subconsciously closed his eyes for a moment. He opened his eyes again as his gaze swept across his surroundings. When he had entered this manor, he had forgotten how many eyes he had seen that carried ridicule and sympathy, and there were many who were saying to him that he was incredibly brave, yet the corners of their mouth let out a shallow smile of disdain that meant you're overestimating your own strength, simply attempting the impossible. In this world, there would always be someone who thought they were clever. Using the excuse of being experienced and having schadenfreude tendencies, they would judge you based on every action that appeared to be overstepping your boundaries. They themselves were trapped in a cage of mediocrity, and they were all living in a system they thought no one was able to jump out of. Thus, they thought and hoped for everyone to be the same as them. Furthermore, they used an opinionated and short-sighted belief to ridicule the people who dared to do anything more. These people loved to rejoice over other people's misfortunes, incessantly gossip, loved to show off their limited knowledge and sense of superiority. Today is the day Mo Fan would make them all shut up. Duel begin. As a command came, Deng Kai had thoroughly declared the beginning of the magic duel, which Mo Fan has been waiting for a long time. In the next second, Mo Fan's pupils instantly emitted scarlet fire rays. Within the fire ray, you could clearly see the 7 flame stars. They quickly connected to each other to form a star path. Dazzling star path, magic come forth. A ball of flames ignited on top of Mo Fan's palm. The scorching flame sprites were excitedly jumping around, impatient to scorch all of the inflammable materials in the surroundings. Fireburst scorch. The speed of Mo Fan's completion of Star Path was fast. The people could still feel the sounds of Deng Kai's declaration of battle resounding within their ears. The adept casting naturally startled everyone present. It seems like he's still got some ability. The problem is that this first level of Fireburst is completely useless. Strange, hasn't this guy already grasped the Fireburst, Burning Bones? Why is he using the first level, Fireburst Scorch? The power of Burning Bones is much stronger than Scorch, since he already sees the opportunity of casting magic first. Why isn't he being more fierce? Instructor Luo Yunbua immediately revealed the suspicions in his heart. The people who somewhat knew of Mo Fan already knew that Mo Fan was the first person in the entire school to have grasped the second level of primary magic. The might of Fireburst, Burning Bones had already been displayed back in practicals. In this important duel, why did he decide to cast a Fireburst Scorch? On the other side, Yuan was not in a hurry at all. He stood there watching Mo Fan finishing his star path. It looked as though he was saying, "So what if you finish your magic spell first?" I spread. Yuan no longer waited. He also used his intent to control all of his stars. He was just as adept at it as Mo Fan. Spirals of cold air swirled around the expensive white clothing that Yuan wore. I spread, coagulate. Yuan continued to chant the name of his magic. In a split second, the entire duel arena's temperature abruptly dropped. It went from originally hot midsummer to a cold winter season. Snowflakes were floating. There were partially frozen layers of frost and ice motes fluttering through the air. The white snow of frost descended upon Mo Fan. With the speed of the ice spreads freezing, if Mo Fan were to stand more than 3 seconds within the area of the ice spread, the lower part of his body would definitely be frozen. Ice Spread was an extremely advantageous spell during a showdown. At the primary caster level, only the wind and earth elements had any movement spells. The effect of Ice Spread had always been an entire area. Once it arrived and the snow frost fell to the ground, the magician would have to escape from this area within 3 seconds or else they'd be frozen still. The people who weren't fast enough were completely unable to escape from the frozen zone. Yuang's Ice Spread covered a large area around where Mo Fan was. Even if Mo Fan were to do all he can to run from this, he definitely could not escape the range of Ice Spread within 3 seconds. Thus, after 3 seconds, Mo Fan would become a human target. After that, Yuang will continue to cover the place with yet another layer of Ice Spread. Mo Fan would become an ice sculpture that would attract the laughter of the people in yet another 3 seconds. There was nothing to be done about it. Ice Element was basically a no-brainer when it came to dealing with slower magicians and magical beasts. This was because Ice Spread was said to be the spell that required no technique within primary magic, yet still very useful. *T. Did this kid go crazy? Why is he still standing there? If it was me, I'd just start running. The second you get frozen, it'll be over. Mo Fan didn't run. If it was any other knowledgeable magicians facing Ice Spread, they would start moving so they wouldn't be easily frozen. You want to freeze me? At this time, Mo Fan had already burst out with a smile. Mo Fan didn't throw the flames in his hands at Yuang. In fact, he was very clear that the small level 1 fire spell was definitely not able to emerge victorious against Yuang. This fire burst, Scorch possessed another clever function. He lightly raised his palm, and the ball of flames on his palm rolled down. N/O/vel/B//in.C///OM. As the flames fell down, the scarlet-red fires instantly spread beneath his feet as they turned into a gorgeous scarlet carpet. These flames began to burn around Mo Fan's surroundings. He already had the body of a fire user, and thus, even if flames were to burn around his body, they would not affect him too much. Furthermore, there were still layers of ice accumulating under his feet. As the frost encountered Mo Fan's flames, melting began to occur instantly. Raising his head as he stood there in the middle of the flames, Mo Fan had a smile on his face, carrying hints of provocation as he looked at Yuang. The ice spread that was everywhere had melted into water from the effects of Scorch. Mo Fan didn't even need to move to accomplish a state where he didn't need to worry about being frozen into an ice cube. Using the fire burst, Scorch on his surroundings, thus removing the effects of being frozen from the ice spread. This guy is pretty clever. Mrs. Tang Yue, who was seated in the audience, had a trace of a smile on her face. Even if the students from the magic schools have been learning magic, their understanding toward the uses of magic were still incredibly limited. Just like the Fire Burst spell, practically every fire student who cast Fire Burst would subconsciously use the Fire Burst to directly attack their foe's body by throwing it. In fact, the effects of Fire Burst Scorch had many usages. For example, let's say if you cast it on a fixed area, causing it to ignite a continued fire, it would be able to turn into a firewall that could seal roads and cut them off. If you were to do it like Mo Fan, directly allowing the flames to roll beneath his feet, relying on his natural resistance to fire, that would cause a layer of protection in the form of fire. The protection of these flames could at very least shatter the freezing effects of an ice mage's ice spread. A level 1 fire burst broke the level 2 ice spread's freezing effects. This is a little interesting, Principal Zhu nodded. During the stage where you were lacking in spells, being able to flexibly use what you had was a very profound skill. Clearly, on the first exchange, Mo Fan still occupied some advantage. My turn. Mo Fan stood in the center of the flames that were protecting him, his star path connected once more inside his pupils. The speed of connecting the star paths were very quick. He casually grasped his hands. One more fire burst emerged on top of Mo Fan's palm. But the intensity of the flames this time were different. You could tell the fire burst that emerged within Mo Fan's hands was impetuous. Fire burst, burning bones. The temperature of the raging flames increased, and a dazzling scarlet-red fireball was thrown out. It left behind a long flame remnant as it streaked across the line of sight of the spectators before it accurately fell toward Yuang. It's the second level of fire burst. If you are touched by this, then you will definitely be directly burned into ashes. The present number of knowledgeable people was not small in number. After they saw Mo Fan easily cast the second level of fire burst, their hearts began to billow. Yuang's ice spread was broken. Now he will be more passive, what Kaidang said, slightly worried. Don't worry. He was the opposite. Mu Zhuiyun carried his accustomed smile, as though everything was under his control. Fire burst. Burning bones finally fell down. However, the people quickly realized that Yuang's speed had suddenly accelerated. He actually moved 4 or 5 meters to the side when the flames approached him. The fast speed caused the people to feel dazzled. The people were astonished, as they had no idea how Yuang could suddenly change his location. As Mo Fan saw the burning bones flames had landed on a piece of empty ground, his brow slightly creased. He was able to see it clearly. This guy Yuang's leather shoes had emitted a dim yellow light, and after that, Yuang acted like he had gained the Earth Ripple spell. His body shifted a few paces away. *T. It was a piece of magical equipment. Magical boots, and earth magic equipment with the Earth Ripple spell. Having the Earth Element's Earth Ripple spell appearing out of nowhere caused the plan in Mo Fan's heart to go awry. Fortunately, this imprint spell within the magic equipment needed a magic stone every time you used it, and then you needed to recharge it to continue using it. Or else, Mo Fan didn't need to fight in this duel anymore. The flying speed of the fire burst was fast, but it still wouldn't be faster than the opponent's monstrous Earth Ripple movement. If you think your little flames could cause me to be useless in front of you, then you are too naive. This farce that has been preserved for 2 years should end. I will let you live, or else I won't be able to see you kowtow in front of my adoptive father in front of the gaze of all these people. Yuang laughed like a maniac. Yuang raised his 2 hands, and in a split second, the entire field looked as though it was completely engulfed by a snowstorm. And driving snow descended from the sky. The cold pierced the bones and froze every object into an ice cube. The violent snow descended. The temperature rapidly fell. It fell so much that even the flames were unable to continue burning. This kind of cold, it was almost as though it froze the air. Ice spread, blizzard. Yuang was like a snow beast as he arrogantly stood in the middle of this incomparably concentrated snow. The entire duel arena was boundless. The cold snow was grim and ruthless. It was like a disaster had descended in winter. It didn't allow a way for any of the living things here to survive. The people sitting on the 2 sides of seats fell into a world of ice and snow. They subconsciously began to hug their own chests as their teeth began to shiver. Holy crap, the last time I met Yuang, he had only grasped ice spread, coagulate. After not seeing him for a whole year, he has actually cultivated his ice spread to the realm of 3rd level. Ice spread. Blizzard is basically an ice disaster falling, extinguishing the flames. No matter where that kid called Mo Fan hides in this duel arena, he will still be frozen into an ice cube in just a matter of seconds. Feisher was unable to hold himself down no more as he yelled out. Feisher clearly remembered that when they were dealing with the one-eyed magic wolf, Yuang and Guocaitang's cultivation were about the same. Up until now, Guocaitang still hadn't grasped the 3rd level of ice spread, yet Yuang had actually reached this realm. Just what kind of degree of cultivation speed was this? It's over, it's over. Can't you see that Mo Fan's protective fire has been extinguished? After the snow has completely fallen, we will be able to see a human-shaped ice sculpture, Li Wenjie exclaimed. Principal Zhu, Deng Kai, Yang Zhua, etc. were all feeling the same. The present guests were gasping one by one. 18 years old. This was Yuang's 18 years old coming-of-age ceremony. Many old magicians who had reached 40 to 50 years old would brag about their second level of ice spread spell. Yet he had reached 18 years old and had already grasped a realm many ice magicians were unable to cross in their whole life. They really had no idea on what to say. Today should be like this. Mo Fan also has a magical equipment. Instructor Luo Yuanbo noted. Zhang Kong shook his head. A bone-side shield is useless against a spell like ice spread. The bone-side shield was actually a really good defensive magical equipment. But so what if its defensive ability was stronger than ice element? Either way, the copper-clad iron bone would still be turned into an ice sculpture beneath the ice spread. Mo Fan's magic equipment was basically completely useless in this duel.
Hello, everyone! As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500-plus novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.